the original band is still in one incarnation, still together.
Yeah. First time I ever seen you guys was at the Little Dory Lounge in Marystown.
Oh my God, for Demo. Oh my God, Demetrius. What was his name? They call him Demo, but
They call him Demo,
but
yeah.
Demetrius something or other. He's other. Yeah.
Yeah, Demo.
Yeah,
I didn't even know it was. Everyone just knew him as Demo.
Yeah. No,
right.
His real name is Demetrius.
Yeah, and I remember you guys came out and you did that, and that was such. It was such a great night because growing up at Marystown, one thing that we never had a lot of, man, was a lot of good live music. It was rare. And it's odd because, like, it's Newfoundland, just like anywhere else. There's every second person can play band. Like, the musical talent, like my buddy Chris Ward, is one of the best I've ever, like, singer-songwriters, man. Like, he works offshore. He's always coming home with new songs. Fucking incredible dude. And he got a band, but he's never ran to play. He's always off working.
You gotta go work,
and all this other stuff, right? And there's a lot of that around the island, right? There's a lot of talented people that if they probably had the balls to go do it or desire or whatever it may be, they could, but they don't. So when you're in a small town like that, because then the peninsula gets skipped over all the time. Marystown gets skipped over, just like St. Anthony gets skipped over on like Newfoundland tours. People.
Snetney.
Right, St. Anthony.
We're going to Snetney on this tour, though.
Right, fucking right. So that's what we do at BestCon. We always hit, we make sure we hit those spots. We hit Marystown, we hit St. Anthony, we hit Port aux Basques, we hit these places, right? Because I grew up being left out all the fucking time. Like in Marystown, we're always left out, man, like Newfoundland tours. Right, you know what I mean? Like I'm not sure if Buddy what's his name, the other fellas came down, but I don't fucking remember him being down there.
I always got left out of Red Rover, man. No one ever sent me over. I still dream about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you're saying a minute ago, Colin, about Chris, he works offshore and stuff. I struggled with that a lot. First one I got playing music, I started up in Fort Mac.
Just get a little bit closer there,
I started up in Fort Mac when I was about 18, and I worked till about 25 there.
Yep.
And when I came home, I got a chance to actually go playing music. And
Yep.
It worked out pretty good for me, I must say.
Yeah, man, it's working out great for you. And we bumped into each other at Jigs and Reels.
Yes,
didn't we? And that was, but like that's what this is. Is a lot. That's how, like, you know, especially. So how long were you at it? Independently or like without a day job? When we met at Jigs and Reels, how long were you still working your oil rig job then or no?
No, when I started playing professionally, I actually like got laid off up in Alberta, and I came home.
Yep.
And I never had no really other option to make any money, so I seen a job at the Red Squid hosting open mic in Dildo. The Red Squid in Dildo.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a step down from the Blue Whale. When you go, you can't get into the Blue Whale. The next choice is the Red Squid.
Yeah.
The Red Squid.
It's funny because when you talk about those kind of moments, my moment, I'm the oldest one here. If you don't notice, I'm about my young, boyish, young looks.
Yeah.
I had to make a choice, and I was sitting on my couch down on Gower Street when I had an apartment down there with my ex-wife, and my girlfriend, and I was going to university, and I was doing an arts degree on my way to go try to become a lawyer at that point. And I was gigging, but I was gigging right out of high school, and I was gigging flat out, and it was during the O.J. Simpson trial. I was watching OJ. I'd be sitting around watching that for the afternoon, and I was sitting around going, do I keep watching OJ and go to my gig tonight, or do I go to the political science class I'm supposed to do at 3 o'clock? And I was like, OJ wins. I was like, I went back and finished the degree after, but I pretty much quit right there on my couch that day down on Gower Street. I was like, I'm going at this now for the fun of it.
So you were in university?
Yeah.
What were you studying?
Political science. I was going to be a lawyer. I was really on the way to be a lawyer.
Really? Yeah. And so obviously you grew up playing music.
Yeah.
And music's in your family.
Yeah.
And
I think I have a brother that does it too.
So when you were going to university, were you still gigging on the weekends to help pay your
flat out
to help pay your way through university?
I was gigging right out of high school. I was gigging in high school. So there was a whole bunch of us went to Gonzaga together. So Chris Andrews,
yeah,
Patrick Moran, Jason Whalen, a whole bunch of people that are still in the business today. We all went to high school together and had a high school band together.
Holy
So,
shit.
so when my first band was actually me and Chris Anders. Can you imagine me and Chris Anders in a band together? It lasted about
What?
3 days. No.
There's too much deep voice in this band, but we
I
gotta
know,
we
yeah,
gotta
yeah,
fucking split up here and make our
No,
own.
it's funny. Chris and I have been lifelong friends.
Of course.
Since, Chris was a year older than us in school, but we had the same love, the same desire
Yeah, well,
for music,
which is
and the
clearly
same
evident,
passion,
yeah.
yeah. And it's funny because like Andy Jordan, you probably know from Canadian AV. Andy went to high school with us.
Yeah.
John Rowe would be Mike Rowe's brother. John was the mandolin player. Randy Power would be Daryl Power's little brother, who's an incredible singer to this day. We had a band together. We played in the Battle of Bands in high school at Gonzaga. We used to rehearse every lunchtime in the chapel, because they wouldn't let us in the music room. They're like, "That's Irish music. That's not music. That's just a bunch of fellas that want to drink."
So you went to Gonzaga High School?
I did, yeah. Shh, don't tell anybody.
No,
No, I loved it
I
actually.
beat that.
It was good. And now that I go to the gym, a lot of my old teachers are still there keeping an eye on me.
Yeah. Well, like I say, we've crossed paths at the gym now a couple times over at the field house.
That'd be jungle gyms.
No, it's I didn't know that. I don't know why. I always thought you grew up down the shore.
I did. I grew up in Bay Bowls.
Yep.
But my parents and my uncle and my cousins, they thought it was a great idea to get us out of that school system and send us to town every day. And I went from grade 4 at St. Pius X.
Oh shit, you were allowed to do that, hey?
They could do it then, and but I mean, we had to get our own way there. So I mean, I carpooled with God knows everybody. I mean, there used to be like 5 of us.
So why did they want to put you in Gonzaga? Because of, more better more courses, more options.
I think for the options. I mean, my family, my father owned a fish plant in Bay Bowls.
Yep.
And I think we might have been. I think my little brother might have been picked on a little bit. I didn't get picked on much, but they just my older brother Con, he was already going there because they lived in town then. He was already going to Pius, and so they had to get him there every day. So we just worked out a way to get it, to get us all there because it wasn't just me. It was my 2 first cousins, cousin Dennis O'Brien and Neely O'Brien,
Right.
And then their first cousin, Danny Carter, he passed away a few years ago. He went to my cousin Mary Jane, my cousin Mary Beth. We all went to school in town. There was like 6 or 7 of us. So it was quite interesting coming home in the evenings, to be 5 or 6 of us strapped across the K car trying to get home. We had some interesting times. Yeah.
Growing up with schooling options like that, man, that's fascinating, right? Right, because growing at home, that's it. You went to Buren, and then when we went to a different school system, it was because our school closed down.
Did you go to Pierce?
Yeah, so I went to K to 9 through Buren.
Yeah.
And Buren schools, and then Pierce is the high school for Buren. Was the high school for Buren at the time, right? But then the year after, between grade 9 and grade 10, that year I'm supposed to be going to grade 10, Pierce shut down, and then they forced all of our class. Everyone in Buren in grade 10, 11, and 12 went to Marystown, and they merged the 2 school systems. And so I went K to 9 at Buren and then graduated 10, 11, and 12 in Marystown.
So you had to commute every morning, too. You had to get up at a stupid hour and, wipe the sleep out of your eyes.
Yeah, so the buses came half hour earlier or whatever. So it came at 7 a.m. instead of 7:30. And then, and then we had to drive down. And when you include the bus stops and getting there, it was close to an hour bus ride.
Yeah.
Very similar to what happened in Trinity Bay. They formed right from Chance Cove and Fairhaven. They had to come all the way to Blaytown. So it's like an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes on the bus. I was lucky I lived in New Harbour and just had to go, but similar thing that happened to you guys out there because we used to play hockey against your school. I remember.
Yeah.
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 I think we're the same age. You 86?
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry.
Yeah. I was never in high school hockey so bad because I was such a sports fan. I'm such a sports fan and was then too, and just I played so much ball hockey and road hockey. That was my life, man. That's all I did. It was just softball, and road hockey. Even more road hockey than softball. But softball was the only thing that I actually played where I was in a league. because it was like $20 or $40 for a season.
Yeah.
Right, and it was just like, you need glove and cleats, and not win a lot and show up. And then, but the hockey parents couldn't afford to put me and my brother in hockey, so I was never in hockey, no matter how bad I wanted to be in hockey. Right,
We were all in hockey, so I went
Yeah.
from the Celtics as a kid. So I played against some pretty good hockey players like John Slaney at Pius.
Yeah.
And then they were getting ready to do the Southern Shore League, the Breakers.
Yeah.
And they built a new stadium when I was a kid. So I went for a year or two in between. I went from the Celtics to the Ghouls Hockey League, because that was kind of the interim league, and then I ended up graduating to the Breakers League. And but we were goalies, so I mean, we know it was expensive for gear. It was expensive to put us in hockey, and then every weekend gone. Your parents don't feel bad that you didn't do hockey, man, because
No.
it's it wasn't all that was cracked up to be for us.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah. What were you saying, Jordan? Sorry?
Yeah, it took a lot of effort for myself to be in it too as well. Like I had to work in the fish plant and buy some gloves and contribute as well.
We were all goalies, so Con was a goalie first. So we were like, I remember getting alone a Con scoop. I always want a Con scoop. He had the better scoop, right? And then I had my younger brother Danny. Danny was the best goalie. Danny was really good. Dad used to call me Leaky Legs, or Red Light O'Brien.
Just
Must be
getting
something
lit
with those
up.
O'Briens that are goaltenders. I know Andrew O'Brien's a goaltender as well.
Oh, is he really?
Unfortunately, Yeah.
Oh wow.
No, I always wanted to be in it, and I couldn't get in it because parents couldn't afford it. So I ended up playing a lot of softball and a lot of tennis, because tennis was everything that was cheap. And I actually got really good at tennis. Like, I had a few years there where like I was competing against people who were in Tennis Canada, like instructors, and I was winning. Like I was winning tournaments on the island and shit. Like,
Oh, wow.
Like so I was never the strongest. And I was never I never had a blister. Like, I'd get like maybe one ace in a whole match, maybe two if I was lucky, right? But and those aces were just me just striping the lines, right? But like, I would never had the power, but I was really fat in growing up, right? I was a chubby kid, especially in high school. Like, I was a fat kid, and
Welcome to my world.
right? So what happened with all sports, in hockey and tennis, was because I never had like the explosiveness and the speed, I got decent hands.
Yeah.
Like, I had and got good at passing and stuff, right? So and give it to another player that could go. right?
Dodgeball champion of 1987, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I was good at dodgeball.
Yeah.
Everyone thought I was a good target, but I had good dexterity to catch it. I know exactly what you know. I was a rather large child myself.
Yeah, and I got good with tennis with just like positioning and smart. But then after high school, I lost a bunch of weight and I started jogging. I used to jog 8 kilometers every day, even in the rain. It had to be like blowing harder than it was today, and like pissing rain. But like, if it was just drizzle and like a bit of rain, I was gone. It was just a bit of wind, I was
Cool
gone.
you off anyway.
I used to work at the fish plant, and I'd work a full night shift, and it'd be like, I didn't get my run in, and I'd go run out in the dark for after work, and I got really obsessed. I got really obsessed with it, and I lost 55 pounds, and then my cardio just got through the roof. So I used to play these people that better tennis players, and I was known for I'd always lose the first set. And then as the matches start going on, they'd start slowing down a
fade,
bit,
yeah.
and then the odds would start getting even, and we'd always have like tiebreakers somewhere in the middle, and then by the 5th set, I'd take it pretty clean, right?
Colin's version of the rope-a-dope.
The Darren Langner of tennis.
Yeah.
My buddy of mine, Stephen Emberley, he went off and did his Tennis Canada papers and became like a certified instructor and stuff, and he was down there. So we were like the only 2 guys like our age that truly like loved tennis, because neither one of us were in hockey. So tennis became our thing.
Yeah.
So it was weird because we ended up becoming friends with tennis, but we're also enemies, right? Because we're playing against each other. And sometimes it get really fucking heated. And there's times that he stormed off that court cursing me under the fucking bus. I think I'm never going to talk to me, fucking storming out the parking lot. Fuck you. There's times like halfway through a match, just like, fuck this, fuck you, fuck this game. And like put it in the bag and go and just draw it out. I guess I win by forfeit. Like, because he'd be like, fuck the way you play, man. You don't play fucking right. Because he's used to playing against players that were like, everyone, you got a great serve, and then it's just about like hitting winners. But I was getting the balls in the corners that I shouldn't get, and I get it back. And I was just always, so many of my winners was the other player either hitting it in the net or hitting it out. Yeah. And I would just play it.
Forcing errors.
I would just get it back, get it deep, and get it back, and I just get it in the fucking corners until they fuck up. And that's how I won tennis games. And I got into that, but I always wanted to be in hockey. I just end up doing tennis because I couldn't afford.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Right?
you know, as you get older, your potential to play tennis becomes a lot greater than your potential to play hockey. So think of those skills. I tried to explain this to my 11-year-old son this evening at the kitchen table because he's like struggling with what sports to play and what things. I was like, James, just play guitar.
Yeah.
He said, what do you mean? I said, you know, when you're a guitar player or when you're a hockey player, yeah, you're cool in high school.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you come out of high school and you're no longer cool anymore. You know, but as a guitar player, you're going to be cool till you're 90. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
He got a little light went off his head. He's like, well, yeah, that's a pretty good idea, Dad. Let's go for another lesson.
Yeah. You'll be in old folks' home, like taking after new young ones that are just getting in.
So then my daughter asked me this evening, well, Dad, what's pickleball?
Oh yeah, that's
And
a
I was
new one.
like, yeah, that's a new one. So pickleball, I was trying to explain to her, pickleball is like a combination between badminton, tennis, and ping pong.
Yeah.
All at the one time, but it's, you know, and maybe that's a sport, you know, maybe you should think about a bit of pickleball now.
I
you know,
played
you-
pickleball
yeah.
one time.
Yeah.
Against my girlfriend's brother at the YMCA in Marystown. And yeah, we had a great game that is.
We can have a game over here at the university. They got
Man, let's
pickleball
start doing
courts.
it.
Yeah. I'll
Yeah,
take you on.
they got it over there.
Oh yeah, they got pickleball. There's people playing pickleball there every day. When you were talking about Andrew James O'Brien earlier, Andrew and Catherine and her parents, they play pickleball. I see them on the court.
Well, you need it too, right? Because like they got tennis, but tennis is garbage over there because it's not a proper tennis court.
Yeah.
But you can play pickleball on
Play
it.
pickleball,
So that makes so much
badminton,
more sense.
and ping pong, because I see Tony Manning
Yeah.
playing ping pong or
Yeah.
table tennis. And Tony Manning was one of the biggest tennis stars in Newfoundland history. I mean, he's one of the biggest guys in tennis.
Right.
I mean, a couple of his daughters were pro.
Yeah.
I took lessons from Tony when I was a kid. Now I go over and I played him a few games of ping pong. Boys, you know, into his 70s, he can still make you walk from one end of the room to the other. He's
Amazing,
great.
isn't it?
It is amazing.
Do you guys? Either one of you guys know Kendrick or Ow? Maybe I'm not sure. I always say but do you guys know him? So he's my age, maybe a year younger, but he grew up in Count Heights, and I got to know him through church back when I used to go to church years ago. And then actually one of my best friends married his sister. So anyways, we always end up crossing paths and whatever. But he went to Brown University on a tennis scholarship, and he played in Wimbledon.
Oh, wow.
In junior Wimbledon from Count Heights.
Wow.
Yeah, doubles.
Ivy League.
Doubles junior Wimbledon is what he played in. And we got and now he's a doctor, and he got his medical degree in Brown University through a tennis scholarship.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I played against him too, man, and he was another fucking level, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck, was he ever good.
Pro
Like,
of that, man.
yeah,
It's just-
I actually managed to take like a couple games off him. I'm pretty sure he went easy on me. He had to.
I slipped him a Mickey before the game.
Yeah, because you could tell when he was really if he was having enough of a rally too, man. The way he could just rocking it down the line, it was like Jesus Christ.
Those guys
Like,
could spin it too.
just when you
Yeah.
think you're starting to get pretty fucking good, right? Like, I'm good for new. Then you meet someone. Oh wait, no, he's actually on an international level and lives here. And then you realize, oh, I'm garbage.
Yeah.
I'm fucking shit. Starting to get a little high on something. And I'm pretty good at this. And then you realize, no, I'm not. I'm fucking shit.
we grew up with a ping pong table in our basement.
Yeah.
And my dad, even up into his to his later years, we could never take a game off Dad. Dad used to give us 18 points.
Yeah.
And Dad was really good, but our next door neighbor was a Portuguese man who lived in Angola for a number of years, and he was the champion of ping pong in Angola. So he used to come over, and I mean, you wouldn't get a point off of him. Like, he could just, and Fernando, he's probably still alive in his 90s in Toronto. He could just, it was just on another level. Like you said, you'd be lucky to get a point, let alone a game.
Right?
So my ping pong game is pretty good.
Yeah. I know. I love ping pong.
Me too.
You love it. Yeah. Like, I grew up with a ping pong table in my rec room, and my buddy George used to come over, and we just used to fucking play. We played ball hockey until the sun went down, and then he come over, and it was just either it was ping pong all night or N64.
Yeah.
And that's and that's
Man, oh, man.
and that's all.
Smoke a do.
Yeah, and that was all we did growing up, man. Ping pong and N64 in the nighttime,
Wow.
road hockey in the daytime, and it was just so much of that, man. Like,
What games do you have in N64?
Oh, well, GoldenEye, of course, and Mario Kart, and just all the classics that like I remember having it was like International Soccer '98 or something like that.
I used to like
And,
EA Sports, but
yeah.
then when they come up with Stanley Cup that time, I was like,
yeah. Oh yeah, I had every NHL game from NHL '93 on the Super Nintendo right up to on Xbox 360, NHL 13, about every single one, and then 20 years of NHL games, and then I said fuck this because I got so tired of them just repackaging the same game.
Yeah.
It because what pissed me off was that. I had a little gap actually where I didn't have the games because I had NHL 2K, 2K3, 2K4, 2K5 over that because the AI in those games were so much better, fucking phenomenal hockey games, and then EA was just muscling them out because they had more money, right? Yeah. And then so then 2K6 they went arcadey with it, and I don't even think 2K7 came out, so you had to go back to the fucking EA games. And I got them, and then 2K7 came out and it was all glitchy because it was the first game ever on the new console on 360, so it's full of that, full of bugs. Then 08 came to fix up the bugs. It was awesome. But then from 08 to 13, it was like the AI, the defenseman on the blue lines, the same every time you pass it back, never there. Always back in your own fucking end. And I just had a day where I passed it back and there's no defenseman there. And I was like, fuck this, man.
This is not real. This is so fake. I feel gypped.
And then I bought NHL 22 for the PS5 there a few months ago for same fucking, they haven't changed it. It's the same fucking
Defense
problem.
never got any better.
The defense are so fucking useless, man. And I was like, fuck this game. And then I was playing Warzone. Their new season 2 came out there a couple weeks ago. I got addicted. So I went years, didn't play games. And I got addicted over the pandemic because that's all there was to do, right? Was play games. So I fucking... You couldn't go out. Not in the very beginning, that very first lockdown. You can't go out. There's nothing on TV, no sports, no shows, no nothing. And Warzone, brand new games, and it's free to play. So I fucking blows the dust off the PS4. I started playing it next day. I'm playing that 10 hours a day. There's nothing to do, nowhere to go. I got so addicted to it, I went and bought a PS5, right? Fucking went out there, man, got into that. And then just 2 weeks ago, they updated it. They brought out a new season. I hated all the changes. I said, fuck this game. I was so mad at the changes.
NHL all over.
I unplugged it right out of the wall. From the time I unplugged it, from the time there was a fella on my front door buying with the cash in hand, it was 44 minutes. I just...
Oh, you sold it?
I sold it 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I wish I knew you were selling about it.
And I'll tell you how mad I was, too. I was so fucking mad that I put it up for $200 cheaper than any other PS5 that was on sale on Kijiji or Marketplace.
God damn
it. Because I was like, I need this out of my sight now.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I need to fucking sell that and make sure it gets back to the, consistent with the podcasting. I'm burning way too much time at that. Get the fuck out of my life.
It could be a real time killer.
Oh man, Canada.
I was into F1 for a couple of years, and only for my 11-year-old, his PlayStation went bust, and the game that I bought and downloaded, he said it's not. His claim is not on it anymore. So, and I'm like, I'm not gonna investigate it too much, James, because I was spending a couple of hours a day playing F1. I'm like, okay, I'm a 45-year-old, 46-year-old man.
Yeah,
I don't need to play these games.
There's nothing wrong with being any age and playing the games. The problem is being that age and there's time that you're at playing that game and you're prioritizing it over shit you should be at, like playing music,
feeding your children,
right? You know what I mean? No, practicing,
doing podcasts,
podcast, fucking getting to the gym. Like the amount of days that I played PlayStation, but I did not go to the gym. You know what I mean?
It was like that. It was only a couple of summers ago. It was just I'd be there and I had we're putting some renovations on my house, and these guys going around my house doing all the renovating, and I'm there sitting on the couch playing PlayStation. They're looking at me like, are you for real? You're, big old man like you playing PlayStation. Why can't you come help us downstairs in the basement? We're putting in a bathroom in your house, but
I heard the woman's mother outside coming in, and I was like, oh, jeez. Shut this out real quick now.
She won't mind you walking in and seeing you smoke a big doob, but Jesus, walk in and you're playing PlayStation, man. Yeah, he's bad character.
And the only only one game I play is hockey. My whole life.
Yeah.
About Super Nintendo or Nintendo and all up. I just play hockey with it.
Yeah.
But now they give you like free games monthly,
Yeah.
so they get you to try them. Like,
Yeah.
they're just a little bit of a hook, right?
Yeah, I just want to get
So
you
next thing I'm
hooked.
shooting moose,
Yeah.
and then you're up 3 o'clock in the morning trying to find a caribou.
Shooting digital
that you
moose.
Can't even eat.
Yeah, with the Navigators over the years, we played a few. Actually, we played a lot of hockey. We played a lot of, like, I remember having Tiger Woods golf on the road, and I used to take the PlayStation on the road at one point.
Yeah.
But it got
That's a
that
good
point.
game.
Yeah. Yeah, I brought it on the road with me too. Yeah, I mean, Mike actually bought one of them little Super Nintendo Minis.
Yeah.
And with the couple dozen games already like preloaded on the
Yeah.
system.
Same
And
one,
just you just all you need is fucking HDMI cable to just throw in any TV now.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
And
you got 4 or 5 people on the road, and you got a day off, it's a nice way to eat up a little bit of time rather than spending money somewhere.
Well,
Yeah.
we do grand, but we had this one guy, Steve Adams, the drummer, still plays with us, the drummer and bass player guy I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And jeez, he beat us in everything. He could beat us at pool. He could beat us at his best rock thrower. So we just, I can't take losing that well. So I just throw that. I don't know if I have it sold in 44 minutes, but I'd have it sold.
Oh.
Some people are just like that, and they're good at everything. Right?
Yeah.
You play
Steve's
checkers?
like that,
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Never lose.
So, do the math equation they haven't even seen before. They're fucking rocking it.
Yeah,
right?
I played with like the NHL old timers during last month out in Twillingate. So they were like, "You want to play music for them?" Yeah. Well, the budget's not there to pay you, but do you want to play on a team with like all the boys? So I was like, Wendell Clark, like who I looked up to my whole life.
Same, man.
I played on his line the whole game.
Me too. I'm a big fan.
And it was like, the boys still are
93
giving her-
Leafs.
Giving her.
Oh, yeah.
He don't want
Man.
to lose. And end up the young fellas beat him. But Ally Frady steps up and he didn't like it and he just like flattens one of the kids. But he's like,
They got a skill level though. There's some things they don't lose. Even if they haven't played in 20 years, they still got that ability to snap the puck in a way that that they're pros.
A buddy of mine played hockey with Wendell Clark a few years ago up in Ontario. Some shinny game or whatever. Wendell Clark's there, and there's a bunch of young guys, 25 guys who played junior and stuff like that. And Clark was out there, and he said he can still like just snap the puck, right? Like it's harder than any of these young fellas on the ice that are gunning for pro.
Their passes are like shots for other fellas.
Oh my
And
god!
accurate.
he
and,
passed puck to me a couple times and missed it. So when we got off, he's like, "You holds that stick like a banjo."
Nice.
Never on the ice, right? Never on
Well,
He's supposed to be on the ice, man.
you're supposed to play it, not.
Yeah. Yeah, I always wonder too. What would be funny for like any foreigners or whatever coming over, like especially from like a warmer country, and they just assume that like all Canadians are incredible at hockey, right? And they just go into the bay, see a game of fucking shitty.
Yeah. They're like,
And look at the fuck is this?
Boys barely skating and the line ball breaks out.
I'd love to know what a foreigner's thought is seeing a bunch of Canadians just being garbage. Fuck. It's like, to me, it's like, imagine going to Brazil, right? Boys don't know what the fuck. Just kick the ball at the fucking stand. I don't know what to be at. You blow your mind. You'd be like, what? There's Brazilians that don't have a fucking
don't
clue
know what they're at. You might
how to
even-
play soccer, right? But I'm sure they exist, right? You know?
Well, I remember, like you were talking about the old timers. I never went to an NHL game till about 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And the only time I'd ever seen players was a couple of old timer games up in Mobile at the Breakers Arena. And I got to see. I knew I played enough hockey that I knew the difference between us, Pee Wee and Bantam, kind of high school players, and watching these guys like I said, with that snap on the puck. But it was my first introduction to it. But it was mind blowing. It was on another level. And these guys, they're probably into their 60s and 70s at that point, and they were still unbelievable.
Still
players.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible? It is, man. Where did you grow up again, Jordan?
New Harbour.
That's where I
Trinity
thought.
Bay,
Yeah. And you say you got. Yeah, I guess you grew up playing music at home. You say, what was it? You got off the rigs. When was it?
2000 and I think 2010 around there.
And that's when you start to go
Yeah.
full time.
Yeah.
Or
Started
yeah.
to grow his
Yeah,
beard.
well-
He started growing his beard then.
Yeah, I did actually. because you couldn't have it up in Alberta because you have
Yeah.
to get a fit test.
Yeah.
So I never could have a beard. So
Right.
there you go.
Yeah. I remember that. You always had to be clean shaven.
Yes, and like there was it was still a hard time for music because like music's one of those things you got to really break in there before you can. It's a hard nut to crack because so you spend a lot of time like playing like just holding the walls until you really just beat at it enough and beat at it enough and beat at it enough
Yeah.
till you get in there
Yeah, man.
and just hold on to it.
That's wicked though.
And leaning on like I remember I used to go around and follow around the boys, and I remember I got half pickled one time at a show, and
It happens.
on Paddy's Day I was only like 25 or something, and Arthur and Fred played in Heart's Delight at Bryant's like 2 days later.
Oh yes, yes,
And
yes.
he comes over and he's like, Jordan, I must talk to you. Come over here. He calls me in the back room. He's like, I'll never forget that either, right? He's like, listen, man, I knows what happened. You got another shot because I was talking to, I think, one of the owners. But anyway.
The Scottish guy.
Yeah. I think his last name was Lacey, maybe.
Yeah,
Or something. Anyway, yeah. He's like, never do it again, and you'll be all right. Just never do it again. And I'm like, I don't think I ever done it again. I got like, I always had a few beer, but I've never always like tried to like make sure, especially a solo too. It's so hard to. We got 5 other people on the
You
stage.
got something to lean on,
Yeah, but you got.
I think that's why the Navigators have endured for 23 years because we kind of got, when Fred has a few too many, I'm there to pick up the slack, and when I have a few too many, he's there to call the cops.
Great relationship.
Yeah, symbiotic.
But the cops never shows up because they can't understand what the fuck Freddy's saying. They rolls up, they picks up Freddy, throws Freddy in the back of the car.
He's just after waking up.
No, I joke about it, right? I joke about it, but the funny thing was, like over the years, everyone knows Fred likes a few drinks, no doubt about it, and and there's times that Fred gets some nice energy. Fred never gets that drunk on stage where you go, oh God, he's had too many. Whereas I've gotten
Sloshed.
Very noticeably, and I've had, if anyone's ever gotten in trouble for drinking too much on stage, it is me.
Right.
So I living up. That was before I gave you that advice.
And it's so bad too, right? Because like, it's what you do, right? Yeah, you drink, you play music, you have a laugh, you do this and that, all the stuff, but then there's a moment where you're like, fuck, and there's no going back now, right? And it's like because so many performers, like I've been there in comedy where it's just like, fuck, I am too drunk to be up here right now, and you're making a fool of yourself, right? And people paid, and it's just like, Jesus, I can't be at this much longer. I'm gonna bet,
I remember I was at a house party for Spirit in Newfoundland about 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, and I was, got drunk at this house party, forgetting that I had to play errands that night.
Yeah.
So anyway, someone said, "Don't you got to play errands?" And up to 10 o'clock, and I was almost legless. So I went down. I got driven down. Never get being in the car with my fiddle in between my legs, getting down the car. Got up on stage. I tried to play the fiddle. Tried to play, and I was absolutely. I shouldn't have been there. And then Chuck Lewis from the Nationalist Man, he's gone now. He was there with Greg Walsh, and they were always good friends. And the boys, they took pity on me, and they're like, "Man, we can't see you go on like this." And they got up and they finished the night for me because I was, and I don't think I've ever gotten that pie-eyed before, And it was, it was really circumstance. I forgot that I had the gig that night.
It's good how that stuff happens, right? Like,
Yeah.
And you remember it too. Like, so sticks in your head. So it's all like growth.
Yeah.
Really,
That was before I was even in Navigators. So
Yeah,
that was a long time ago. Yeah, 25 years.
I think they should put the fucking weed drinks in the bars. What's up with that?
So they won't do it because I've looked into it because that's what I do. So I was saying to you off camera. So I picked up these beer. Never had them before. Never heard of them. I just picked it up because I was like, I'm looking for a gluten-free beer, and the lady offered like 3 different kinds. This is one of them. I said, yeah, I'll just take that one.
Good beer.
Yeah, it is, hey?
Yep.
And because I've been having a bunch of medical issues lately, and it appears that gluten is, if it isn't the problem, it is one of the problems. So I've just been doing everything I can to cut that out. But fuck, where was I going to with that? Oh, the weed drinks, right? So because that's what I do now is.
Are these wheat drinks?
No, this is beer, but this is what I'm saying. This is
a gluten-free beer.
I think the first beer of the year that I had was actually last week at Crooked Feeder.
Good beer there.
Yeah, and I had I had a glass of beer out there, or two, and then there was and then this one right now, because I got into weed drinks there last summer. I started getting into weed drinks, man. And now that's what I take to house parties with me. I just goes to the weed store, picks up half a dozen weed drinks, and does it, because what happened was I was going to all these house parties, or I'd say all these house parties, but just any time, any social gathering of any sort, right? Newfoundland got booze around it.
Yes.
And then you show up with no booze, and then someone tries to give you booze because you got no booze, and you go no, and then you're the only one there not drinking booze. And what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Right?
And
And
someone's sick, maybe you should have a beer.
Right? Like, blah, blah, and it's like, and it's just like, and I just got tired of explaining myself.
Yeah.
And I came across these weed drinks. So I just bring the weed drinks, and you got something in your hand, and people don't even ask you what you're drinking. They just see something in your hand, they fucking leave you alone, and you just fit right in. So I just started got into the weed drinks that way, and now that's what I drink, and I don't even drink beer, and I took this weed spray in Cormac, funny enough. So I got high last April in Cormac for the first time in years. Brian had this spray, this that was like breath freshener, but it's weed, right? And it was peppermint flavor. Anyways, takes that, and it takes like a couple hours for it to kick in, the oil, if you put it back in your throat. Now, apparently, if you put it under your tongue, it kicks in faster. But if you squirt it in the back of your throat like I did, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's slow going down or what, but anyways, a couple hours later, Tampa versus Toronto, Game 7, right? Third period.
All right, that's enough. We don't need to go any further.
It kicks in. No, I tell you what. From now on, when the Maple Leafs are playing in the playoffs, especially in a game where they can be eliminated, I'm getting high as fuck because I'm watching it and I was bombed. Right, bombed, because I haven't been high in forever, right? So I'm bombed, and then they lose, and me being blasted was the only thing that kept me from losing my mind, right? I was just like, I actually handled it okay, because I was too bombed to get mad.
It saved your life.
Yeah, right? And I've been high almost every night since. I have
Man, what's going to happen when the Leafs win the cup?
Yeah,
Holy God. You just clean your act up, never take a drink, never have another choke for the rest of you. No.
Do you think the curse is real?
That's
is that
what,
true?
That's what the curse is. Going to straighten out too many fellas like Colin.
The curse, is it real?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I tell you what, until they fucking kill that curse, that's it.
Now it's a Canadian curse. It's not just the Leafs. We haven't won a cup. The last time we won a cup was '93. I mean,
with the
Montreal something.
With the Montreal.
I don't forget your name.
The team that doesn't want to be a part of Canada that calls themselves the Canadians.
Les Habitants.
Right? Yeah, that's a that.
Okay, we shouldn't.
Podcast
started and a hockey fight broke out.
Fucking Montreal. Just the fact that they call themselves Canadians. They're right off the bat. I don't know how you can fucking be a
It's
fan
for the
of
beer, man. It's for the mostly Canadian.
Yeah.
I was in Montreal last year. I played at Hurley's, and I remember walking in front of the Bell Center, and Buddy's like, $60 for a ticket. I was like, Buddy, I wouldn't take that now if you was giving it away. LA was in town. I was like, no. I
did. So my first Toronto Maple Leafs game was in Montreal. I went to the Bell Center to see Toronto because as much as I hate Montreal, blah blah blah. One thing I've always said is like you can't deny they got one of the best, if not the best, atmospheres in NHL.
Oh yeah,
like it's loud, it's rocking, they're diehards. Toronto sucks. Fucking suits, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to get a good cheer or something going on
there.
It's
hard to get into a game,
right? Yes, man. It's you can't afford the tickets, man. Like $4,000 or some shit. Like
that's why. But Toronto, they're so good in other markets. That's the thing people don't realize, or I didn't realize that you go to Tampa Bay. The biggest games you have for the year is when Toronto shows up.
First NHL game I've ever seen was in Tampa Bay.
There you go. But because you can get a ticket in Tampa Bay because it's not like Toronto. It's where you need to the president of the team to get a ticket.
I apologize. It was in Arizona against Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Phoenix, yeah.
But you go to Calgary, the one time a year because they don't play in their division. One time a year, the Toronto rolls into Calgary, Toronto rolls into Vancouver, wherever.
Sells out.
It sells out because there's so many Toronto fans.
It's crazy.
And it's like Toronto, and people love to hate the Toronto Maple Leafs as well.
Yeah.
So there's people want to go there and want to see the Oilers beat Toronto. So there's that element as well. But,
yeah.
It's something I never realized about hockey because I played a bit of it, and I was an Oilers fan up until '93, up until Wendell Clark and
I love
the
Wendell
boys.
Clark.
'93, they turned it around for me that year, and I've been a Leafs fan ever since.
Ryan O'Reilly, right? The new one that they got there from St. Louis. He's Wendell Clark-esque. That's what he reminds me of. Like, he obviously ain't gonna drop gloves and fight, but he's got that like. Yeah, he's not Pavel Berry or whatever.
Determination.
But he's just determined and sound, and just like he just plays the way that you wish you could play.
Yeah.
And he contributes. It's when he contributes too. Like, yeah, he went out with the Rocket Richard, but he scores when it matters, man. He scores them like from just like being a dog and like high IQ, and it's just you just fucking love a gritty guy that can also put it in the back of the net like he does, right? Because he works like a dog in the corners. He works like a dog in practice, man.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's there on the ice by himself all the time. Still, as good as he is today, he's still at the he'll. Yeah, like I seen the boys talking a bit on Overdrive there the other day. Like he don't want to come off the ice. Yeah. He's all about it, man.
I know musicians who are like that.
Yeah.
Like I got like Billy Sutton. Everyone knows Billy Sutton as a musician.
Yeah.
Billy, like, he lives, breathes, and sleeps playing whatever the lead instrument is, and he'll go home. You go to Billy's house, the instruments out all the time. He's playing all the time. He's always at it. He doesn't need to practice.
Yeah.
But he just loves it so much. He gets so much determination.
Yeah.
And it's like, to me, I go home. I don't want to look at a guitar for the night. I want to look at a fiddle because I've just spent 4 hours at it tonight. But some people just got that drive, and
I know.
I'm jealous of that a little bit.
I know. Me too. Yeah, because it's not in me either, right?
No.
But that's the thing. That's why you love them, because that's what you wish you could be. Right, like I think that's why people love Wendell Clark. Like, who doesn't want to be a fucking hockey player? And you're laying body checks when you got the puck.
Yeah.
Like,
I was coming
you know what I mean?
Come behind net or that game we played last month, and he was coming the other way. And I just caught him in my eye, and I jumped in the way, and he did like a bucket roll, and I was like, if he would have hit me then, man.
Oh yeah, it'd be end of the tour with the Navigators.
Yeah.
We'd be going seeing poor old Jordan in traction at the Western Memorial.
And those guys still fill up the rink out in Twillingate. Like, the people want to come see them. Like, they have Rick Vive. Ron Duguay was going around with
That's a fucking name.
no
buddy.
bucket on.
Yeah.
It looked like Ken Barbie doll there, just going around.
I was
doing
lucky.
yoga between periods.
I was lucky. I got to hang out with Marty McSorley. And Marty was coaching one of the AHL teams, probably 10 or 15 years ago downtown, and he came down to Bridal Malloy's, and I met him and shook his hand. I mean, we had lots of hockey players, but I became friends with him because anytime he come to town, he'd look me up. I even went out to supper with him one night and everything, and he was just such a gentleman. But I shook his hand. What surprised me about these guys, that they're all way smaller than I envisioned. I met Billy Smith, and he was this little tiny guy. I met Brian Trottier. I was like, my God, I got youngsters bigger than you.
Yeah.
And Marty, Marty, when I shook his hand, I was expecting this big. I mean, I know I could have crushed his hand. I mean, I'm a big boy myself, but he was like, I was expecting this big. I'm sure if he had to lean off and crack me, I'd be down. But it was like that's what surprised me about those guys. Because I guess you can't be a big oaf like me and be a great hockey player. So
right, they're leaned out.
They're leaned out more than you think.
Right.
Like,
but they're strong fuckers, man. You can't be weak. Like, if you're weak, you get halfway through the first game, and you're gonna get fucking flattened. And your career's over.
Yeah, just playing against Bob Probert at that size. If you're that size and playing against Bob Probert, you got to be tough.
Yeah. So you must have met some Paula characters. Like you were telling me in the gym there the other week, Arthur, that you know French, that you can speak French.
Un petit peu.
Dude, you started fucking going on in the locker room in French, and I was high at the time.
Couple of squirts.
Because like I like getting high and going to the gym. Like I really do. Like if I don't get high, I can't go to the gym. I just can't. But when I'm high, I'm just happy to be there, and I can just concentrate on like form, and like I'm really, and like I can sit in the sauna for an hour. If I go into sauna and I'm not high, I'm in there 5 minutes, I'm getting out. But if I go into sauna high, I'm in it for at least a half hour, if not an hour.
And you don't have to work out, then you just sweat it out, do the gentleman's workout.
But it's just like, he was going on, Jordan, man, in the French, and you were saying, you played in France. You played.
Yeah, but we played. We went to St. Pierre with the Navigators for years, and even before the Navigators. So, I remember going down as a kid with my dad, and I've been to St. Pierre 25 times. So after after 25 trips to St. Pierre, you start learning it. So I learned it for shows and to be able to do a show in French.
Yeah.
Not to sing in French. I sang a couple of songs in French over the years, but to actually be able to speak to the audience in French. So to get them to do taper dans les mains, or clap your hands, or just do sociable. Voulez-vous boire avec nous, s'il vous plaît? Do you want to take a drink with us?
Yeah.
And so I do the sociable. And be able to introduce us. So it's afforded us some opportunities. We ended up in France doing a big festival over there, and it's funny because on YouTube, one of the biggest videos, I guess best presented videos of us, is a show we did with RFO in Saint Pierre.
Yeah.
And and I do that show. I speak in French. Voulez-vous taper dans vos mains, s'il vous plaît? Say, clap your hands with us. And I remember, we did the recording, and funny enough, last week, one of the theaters on the tour in Carbonear, they did an ad, and they took a clip from that video, and they start the ad, and the ad, if you listen over in Carbonear, hi everybody in Carbonear, if you listen to the ad starts out with me speaking French.
No.
It's me speaking French, and they sent it to me would you okay this? I'm like, I don't care, it's not perfect French or anything. So yeah, I mean, we did one of our songs on our last album before the new one. It was a song I wrote called "A Sunny Night in Paris," and it was from Fred and I had a week-long romantic vacation in Paris, and I wrote I wrote a couple of songs the last night we were there, because we ended up running out of money and couldn't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
We got mugged the night before. Okay, that's the truth. The truth was we got mugged
In France.
We were ripped off. I was ripped off every bit of cash I had left. So we had one last night before we had to take off the next day. So I just sat around the hotel room, and I ended up writing 2 songs on the last album. So one of them I wrote it in English, but when we were recording the album, we were like, let's see what we can do with this in French. So we translated it. Myself and Ward Pike, our producer, kind of engineer, he speaks French as well. So the two of us sat down with pen and paper and took the song I'd written in English and translated half of it to French. And now I couldn't ask you to sing it, not a chance. I'd have to go back and relearn it. But I sang the whole song in French, and it wasn't, it was singing, it wasn't.
I've heard that song because I've listened to that album a bunch.
Yeah, you definitely heard me sing in French,
Yeah, I remember the first time I heard that. I was like, Jesus, that's like I was like, that's a turn I wouldn't expect to hear. But what was funny was, I was just like, all right, Arthur's charismatic, entertainer, keen fella. I'm like, he just learned those lines. Like I
wrote it.
What's amazing is
it wasn't right. Like our manager's French, and he said, you're close. He said,
I don't notice what this says about me or what I think about you or what, but as many times I heard that song, it never hit me. Arthur can speak French. Like I never thought you could actually speak it, like travel and speak it.
Yeah, certainly not fluent or bilingual by any stretch, but
you pretty fucking bad in the locker room the other day.
You stick me down in the middle of Paris after a couple of days.
You get by.
I'm okay.
Yeah,
I get directions and stuff, and tell people to go.
And you just learn it from going to St. Pierre so much.
Yeah, same. The trips to St. Pierre, and what happened in St. Pierre is I was over there so often. I have really good friends there, and they're like, we love you coming, but how come you don't speak any French? I'm like, because I never learned. Well, do you want to learn? I'm like, okay. And they started writing down the expressions I would need, to help me in the show,
That's wild.
And then, I haven't been to St. Pierre on a regular basis. We used to go for 10 days at a time every year. Sometimes went twice. Yeah. So we go for, play the Joinville, which is joint city. Join is joint. And Ville City, so the place is called Joanne. It's actually a proper name in France, but if you translate it directly to English, it's Joinville, joint city.
Yeah,
so I fit in really good there. So we go there and we play for 10 days. Every Labor Day, I'd say for the first 10 years we were together for at least from 2000 right on through. I'm still friends with the owners down there. I've been back for a few things. over the years. But you know, when you go for 10 days, and you know, you go to St. Pierre, it's French, so you can't just put your feet up and speak English. No one's going to speak English to you because they don't know it. You know, they don't know.
Right.
They don't know. You know, some of our friends would know a bit of it, but you know, I'd have as much as I'd have as much French eventually as some of my friends there would have English. And what would happen is that, you know, the older generation, so I remember staying in bed and breakfasts down there with the older people, they didn't have any English at all. So the fact that I could learn a little bit of French opened up those people to me, which I thought was really special, you know. So I go down in the middle of the day, have a few drinks, and learn a little bit in the bar and learn. I mean, you know, it's been, you know, 6-7 years since I've been there, but, you know, I get, after a couple of days, it comes back, you know, the expressions come back, and, you know, the fun of it, because it was fun to learn, because I stopped doing French in grade 9, and kind of, you know, hated anything
Me
French.
too.
Yeah, you know, anything I like French was French fries, you know.
That was my highest mark in high school, actually, was French.
Tu fais bien en français?
No, it's been too long, man.
That's so.
hope-
That actually gives me so much hope because last time I did French was in grade 9, and I don't know a fucking word of French. Like bonjour, obviously, like everyone knows that. But it's just like I don't know French, which is so funny because in grade 6, like I remember, like they used to mark your. We used to mark your report cards in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instead of A, B, C, D, E, F, you know, there. And I remember, like, it was grade 6. I had like all ones and a 2, right? And I was just like, and then in grade 7, I got like they went over to the letters, and then I was like, I remember I had like a couple C's, and there was like speaking, writing, listening, and performing, or something. I don't know if it was. And then, but I was alright. I still had some A's in some categories, right? I go to grade 8, and I get a teacher that we just don't click. I just don't understand how he does it.
Yeah.
I scraped by with like a 55. And then grade 9 I went up. And grade 9 French was the first time I actually at the end of the year failed a course. And I failed French with like a 35, and he used to kick me out all the time, tell me and I actually had like a 2-week period where I was kicked out. I wasn't even allowed to show up. I had to sit out my class by myself alone.
It's like a Facebook suspension these days.
Yeah, no cell phone, no nothing, and they just be like, well, work on something that you do care about because you're not coming in this class, disrupting this class, because that's what I'd be at, right? I'd just be fucking talking shit and disrupting, and I'd be asking him to explain something for the 8th time, and he'd be like, I got to move the class along. I'm tired of explaining it to you. If you don't get it, just go on. And I was like, yeah, fuck this, I'm out.
I went to a neighbor to be tutored in French when I was in grade 8, grade 7, and I hated it, you know, and to the point where, you know, we were allowed to give it up in grade 9, so I gave it up. And then after those trips to St. Pierre, I started to enjoy French people. So that's what made me like it, because I like the St. Pierre. They're really sweet, lovely people.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be able to connect with them, and then so I went back when I finally went back to university to finish my degree. I was able to choose electives, so I did 3 or 4 French courses. I would have, if I had to have my chance back, I would have went and did the full minor in French because I enjoyed it that much.
Right.
But it's funny because that French tutor I had was our next door neighbor, Marg Carter. She just turned 96 the other day, and anytime I got a chance to write her, she's on Facebook, you know, and they're all wishing her a big happy birthday. So I go, bon fête, Margaret. I was like, you know, it wasn't too late for me, you know.
Yeah.
And it was nice because, you know, it's never too late. It's not, you know, and especially when you have the passion and you want to learn. I mean, it's different when you're, you know, a kid in grade 8 or grade 9 and you got so many other distractions, so many other things.
Yeah.
You don't care about it. But when you find something that you can hook onto, you know, and it's, you know, it opens up a whole new world for you.
Yeah.
You know, and then it then becomes, you know, like I went to Germany, and after 2 weeks in Germany, I was 25, you know, how old am I? 25, you know, it's noonday, or, you know, you can learn the you know, the other things, you know, quicker that way as well. So
right.
Not just French. Anyway.
Yeah, man. Like, what about you, Jordan? Can you speak any else, or is it just English yourself, or?
I used to be able to speak a little bit of French. Like, as I said, it was like my highest mark in high school, but I went to safety school when I first started starting music after I got out of Alberta. I went to safety school because my plan was to get out of safety school, go back, and use it as like a anchor for music. So then I can probably work a Long Harbour or work a Bull Arm at the time. So I went and I downloaded the free version of Rosetta Stone. So I was going to try to, and it's like pretty cool how you learn that because you got like give you pictures like walking the dog and they'll show you what like conjunction words used and whatnot. So I was attempting to do it, but all that went to shit after I just couldn't show up to school, I suppose.
What opened it for me was that I was a musician and doing the courses at Mon, doing like the 1500, 1501, 1502. Being able to the music, being able to hear the intonation, to hear the changes in I was, you know, you know, when I was in grade 9, I really wasn't, you know, could play music, but I wasn't a musician, you know. But then as when I was, you know, 30, after, you know, 15 years of playing, those skills that I had as a musician, I was able to use it for the language. So someone like yourself that got, you know, that got that, you know, you can take that ability that you have for, you know, you're just being able to hear. You got to listen for the things, you know, and that's what I was able to. You know, I remember being in a French lab, going, "Oh, sure, this is facile for me," you know. So
it's amazing. Yeah, I'd love to do, and like for performer too. Like once you can perform in a second language, that's it. You don't even need to be good.
No.
Like you just open up a whole other avenue of where you can perform. It's wild, and of course, obviously, you have to be good. But you know what I'm saying? It's just like it's unbelievable. Like there's comedians in Canada, in Quebec, that are French, and it's amazing. It shows again. This is another part of it. Just shows you the bullshit of like the divide in the country and everything else, and how it's all nonsense, and like how Quebec really is their own thing. Because there are comedians in Quebec that have like million followers. Right? Like, and they're famous, they're millionaires, and they're fucking huge.
We never heard of them in English Canada.
And we don't even know who they are. But they do English comedy as well.
Yeah.
They do English comedy. Like, Sugar Sammy is a comedian in Quebec. And he's the judge. He's one of the judges on France Got Talent. France Got Talent. He's one of the judges.
Crazy.
Right? He's a fucking judge. He has over 1 million followers. He's a millionaire, right? He sells out. What was the record he had? He had something that he sold out like, I don't know what it is, like some theater, like 10,000 seats, and he sold it like 3 nights in a row or something over in France, and nobody in Canada is talking about him, like because he's Quebec, he did the show in French, and it's just like it just shows you the I don't know, just how odd like everything is, but it also shows you the doors. Mike Ward is another comedian in Quebec, speaks French. Now, if you know him, you'd know him. How you got to know him, if you were to know him, is he had a joke on French television, making because he's a triple X. He's a shock comic. He's a X-rated comic, and he had a joke about there's this kid, and he had some sort of disability, and he was on the Make-A-Wish. He went on the Make-A-Wish, and his Make-A-Wish thing was that he could. I think it was to sing the anthem for the Queen or something, or the princess or whatever it was, something along those lines. Anyways, he went off to sing before he got the wish, but then after that, he like sang it with the national anthem for like Blue Jays or something, and then he sang national anthem somewhere else. Next thing you know, it was 2-3 years later, and he's showing up here singing an anthem for them, right? And his joke was like, I thought you were supposed to be fucking dead. Right? It's 10 years later. It's like he's getting some knowledge of that Make-A-Wish. Like you're supposed to make the wish and be dead within a year later, right? And
you are so for living.
It's just a joke, right? And it's a fucking hilarious joke. But anyways, and it was on French TV, which nobody's watching in this country. And it was on Canadian French TV. So, like, it wasn't even, like, to my knowledge, people over in Europe are watching it. No. Right? So, it's a very fine number, a specific amount of people are watching it. The parents of the kid then go and file a lawsuit against him.
For a joke?
A human rights thing. At the Human Rights Tribunal. And it was carried out, and then that got American press, and then it got British press, and it became an international news story that this comic is
made fun of a Make-A-Wish kid.
Make-A-Wish kid, and he's now getting sued. But it was a human rights thing, see, and that's why it got such news, because it's like this has massive implications, right? Because if he gets now, this changes comedy.
Yeah,
changes
change
the
the whole
landscape
dynamic. You can't, yeah.
right? And his defense was like, well, he's a public figure. He's not like just some kid in middle school that I found and I exposed and made fun of him. He's all over TV as it is. He's already all over TV. I'm a comedian. I make X-rated jokes. I don't want him to die. I'm just finding it funny that I'm just finding the humor and how he's still alive.
Yeah.
And doing his thing. I don't wish bad upon the kid.
No.
Right? And that
thank
was
God it's a miracle that he is still alive, really. I mean, but
Right.
you can still, but there is a certain amount of, I guess the irony of it is that,
Right.
He's playing on that. And
yeah, exactly. And he was just doing, and that was his defense. But anyways, that blew him up. So then but because of that, he was his album. Then he was like, "Listen, I'm getting sued. Here's my album. Please buy my album." And then, I bought his album,
Yeah.
and so did hundreds of thousands.
There's no such thing as bad publicity. What you're trying to say, he became a millionaire because of this poor little kid.
He became a millionaire over. I feel like he lost something, or he ended up spending hundreds of thousands on a lawyer bill on his lawyer. He's been right, but he made even more off his album sales from all this. So even though he got fucked in the grand scheme of things, he made more money. And here's the thing. This is what pissed me off with all of that. And I'm going in deep on this right now just because you can tell you guys don't know, and it riled me right up. Because I just hate the bullshit. Like this, the world did not know about this kid, and the world was not making fun of this kid, and whatever. Like the joke was made, life went on.
It was a
right?
sketch. It was a sketch.
Yeah, it was exactly, and it was on French TV, right? They said it gave him mental health issues. He's being bullied and all this stuff. When his parents, especially his mother, went and made this and they had all of this press, his parents, gave him more exposure than that joke ever did. And yeah, there was a lot of people being like, "Oh my God, that's mean." But for everyone who's like, "Oh my God, that's mean," there was another person being like, "Fuck you, it's a joke," blah blah blah. And then you got millions of people being like, fuck you, and fuck your kid for letting you do this," right?
That just happened here with the Hellbent beer. Did you see that?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago,
Well, I shared it, but now I think that was American Boy.
Absolutely,
and
but it's like some Karen.
Some Karen, right?
Wrote this. How you dare use the name Hellbent, and I'm a churchgoer. I'm thinking about trying to get someone to do something like that on our tour, man. Like someone that can, write us some bad. Never mind that.
No, listen. You don't need it. What you want to do is if you're gonna get canceled, you want to get canceled over bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you get canceled over something legit, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Right? But if you get canceled over bullshit,
Yeah.
like people are seeing right through the bullshit of everything now, and people are tired of cancel culture. So if you're coming at it with cancel culture, you better be Bill Cosby, you better be Harvey Weinstein, you better be a ruthless motherfucker that deserves to be behind bars.
Exactly.
Right? Because other than that, people are getting sick and tired of cancel culture bullshit.
Good people over minor.
Good people over bullshit, or even if a good person they fucked up. But okay, they fucked up. Everybody fucks up. They just got caught. And people are still being more whatever. Like I went through my own wave of bullshit, and it's just like it's through it before. But most people have seen through that, right? And it's just like it's and has fucked me in some ways, but in other ways, it's actually helped me more, right? Because it gave me a pile of exposure, and more people got to know me, right? I started this podcast, right? People are getting to know me through this. People are starting to see, oh yeah. He's not the piece of shit that these people are saying that he is.
No,
right?
No.
And then that just helps, right? So I should make a bot account and just fucking fire off on some nonsense on you.
Yeah, please do. Please do, yeah. Next thing you know, Freddie will show up with the cops at your door. Who's this Colin Hollett guy? Is he from the peninsula?
That's that motherfucker right there.
The Newfoundland boot mafia. Newfoundland boot mafia's coming to get you, man.
Colin, are you related to Geraldine out there? Geraldine Hollett? Okay,
No. No. So if I am, it's distant.
Okay.
And we don't know about it. But isn't that amazing? So she lived down the road from me. Now she's older than me, so like I didn't know her.
She's
as
from
a
the same
child.
town as Fred. She's from Bulls Cove.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're from one little tiny town.
Right. So they're there like she lived in between me and Fred.
Really?
Yeah, because I just lived up the road the other way.
Yeah.
From Fred. So Fred was right on the point.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
he's
you know
down-
where
he's
Fred
down-
lived.
oh, yeah, down
He's
on-
literally on the edge of the
The
world.
Jersey room, yeah.
Right? And like when you see where Fred grew up, you're like, of course.
Yeah, oh yeah, that all makes sense then. Very famous spot.
Oh.
The Jersey room was settled by Jersey fishermen, like, you know, in the 1700s, and it's still, you know, there's an archaeology dig go around there.
Yeah.
It's a
So,
cool spot.
but like to have like Fred, Geraldine, and like we'll say like myself to actually become somewhat medium level known in the province to all grow up in that little fucking spot, and none of us are related.
Are you from down? What part are you from? Like, what part of Bjorn are you?
I grew up by the fish plant, by the FBI fish plant
In Bjorn.
in Buren.
Across the harbour. Where
Yeah.
Where they kept the Simmons.
Right.
Yeah.
So
you could look through the binoculars and make sure she's not going to St. Pierre. Wouldn't know nothing about that.
yeah, but I always find that fascinating. Just looking at it, be like, Jesus Christ, man! For a little tiny cove, man, actually put out a bit of decent talent.
Oh my God!
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
A couple of Fred's whole family is fucking talented.
Yeah, and so is the Geraldines.
And the
I mean,
Hollets.
Gerald, they're all there was a big connection there. And not just music. I mean, great dance. You know, they had great dances and great dancing in it. You know,
Oh, they
it was,
love
yeah,
dancing.
it was a big
They were
thing.
big on the dancing.
And I think some of them like to drink too.
Oh, they had what was it they used to dance? There was some sort of like dance. There was like a group or something.
Yeah.
And I believe it was her parents were in that. Shit, that's fun. You just said it. You just brought that right back. I forgot. I completely had that in my memory.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. But yeah, they used to
It was
dance, and they were
yeah.
good dancers,
Yeah,
man.
they're good dancers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fred's a good dancer. You watch Freddie Jorgensen. You'll say, Fred, boy, give us a couple of steps, and he'll start with his 2 feet. I mean, Fred is a completely one of the most talented people you've ever met.
it's
Not just
phenomenal.
he's unbelievable,
Yeah.
and he's just so naturally gifted.
Yeah.
And just to watch him when he takes his 2 feet, he's just okay. He'll do a little tap or something, and the 2 feet are going. The next thing you know, it's like the river then started. You know.
Yeah.
But he won't do it. Fred's really shy, I believe.
I know, man. I tried to get Fred on here, and he said yes after saying yes twice. And then when the time comes, man, I can't get him on. And it's just like, and I want him on so bad. And I'm so happy for you to say that too. Like, just knowing, like, he is a special talent, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
He really
Amazing.
is. And it's no disrespect to anyone else to say, but like he's a 1-on-1 man. He's one of one.
He was born with a natural ability like I've never seen another musician.
I know, I haven't either.
I've been playing with him for 23 years. You know, he's my partner in the band and stuff. But he's just ability to keep time. His ability for melody. He's just got something natural. I mean, he just some people got to read. I had to really work on it. I can guarantee you, Freddie just could just do it.
Yeah, I mean, your natural tune is in your family and stuff, right? Like music's in your family.
It is,
And
but like you could just like Freddie has more in that little. I would say more in that little finger than most people have. You know,
in their whole body.
in their
I
whole
know,
body, you
man.
know,
It's
it's
just
like,
like, I could hear Freddie play the same song 10,000 times, and I'd say play it again. Like it's just there's something
And it'll give you goosebumps
every
just
time.
like the first time.
You just every time you're just there now, like you're just like, what a fucking talent that this world don't know about.
Yeah.
So
And
lovely.
He gets it from both sides. His mother's a hen from Little Bay,
Yeah,
and
Selena.
Selena, and all that. There's great. He's cousin. Forget his name. Mike's son, Jason. You ever see him play the spoons? And his cousin Jason, he looks a little bit like Freddie. He lives in Halifax, and I remember Shani Ganak was up doing a show there about 6 months ago. Because I remember we were there 10 years ago trying to do a show, and he wanted to get up and play the spoons. And I told him, by your crack. His father got over, he pissed off and said, What'd you say Jason was on the crack for, boy? What'd you say? They all fell out with me. I said, no, he was cracked. Anyway, I saw Jason. Shani Ganak got him to play the spoons. And he started playing the spoons with Shani up at some show they did, like maybe, there's the spring or the fall. And I wrote him. I was like, man, oh man, I feel so friggin' bad that I didn't get you up because you could see just in that 3 minutes of him, they put him, whatever he did with it, that ability, that I don't know, that innate ability was there. You could see he hit Fred, it's a family trait. You know, I mean, I don't know what Jason can sing like, but you could see that really good ability to play rhythm and to have that dynamic. You know, Fred could do this thing with his hands, just clap his hands in a way. It's like, man, that's like, you could just have a career doing that.
Yeah, it's like he is music. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the best way to almost say it, isn't it? Yeah. He thinks everything in music.
You grow up in Newfoundland, and it's like so fascinating that I just got my hands on my great grandfather's. An interview with my great grandfather from 1972, and there's like 90 minutes. He was a storyteller and a recitationist, and then I meet a guy out in Cobb's Arm. Cobb's Arm is just outside Twillingate. He talks like he's from the 19th century. He plays accordion and tap dance at the same time. He works on the Coast Guard, and he's not even a professional musician. And it's like you run into these people in the small places, Newfoundland, it's like, where, what is it? Like,
some people got it naturally. Like,
yeah.
You know, my dad, God rest his soul, now he's gone. My dad was such a natural talent.
Yeah.
You know, he could play 3 or 4 different instruments, could sing like I'll tell you a great story. We were down, myself and Fred were hired to play down to Craig Dobbin's house.
Yeah.
For this big thing with the Irish ambassador to Canada, or John Crosby there. I think Beaton Tulk was the premier. He was there at the time, and they had this big lobster bash down to Craig's. So they had us hired, and you know, we're down there doing our thing. And this was kind of early in the band, and you know, we get up there, people are, you know, you're nice, you know, and whatever. My dad, who nobody knew he was my dad. My dad was a friend of Craig's. He was invited. He sat at the table, and he he said, I'll sing a song. You know, it was over across the way. He got up in the middle of this thing, and one of my prouder moments. Dad just sang with no instrument, the Star of Logie Bay, and he bought the house down. I had to stop playing for 3 months because I didn't want to play again.
Yeah, cheers to that. Absolutely.
Pretty cool, yeah.
Cheers to that. Speaking of that, you want to give me another beer, or get one for yourself too if you want one. Have another pour whiskey. Do you want one?
No, I'm good. I gotta get the jet home.
All right. Do you get a gig tonight?
Yeah, I got a gig in another hour.
Where's it at?
Shamrock City.
Oh, baby. You're not Shamrock tonight. Fuck, man, I should go down by.
But, you know, you got to run if you need to come.
Because
Is that a run or a rum?
Yeah, no, hold on. I thought you said I need to run if I want to come. I was like, I gotta run down.
No, you gotta run,
man.
man.
Listen, I know taxis might be a little dire.
I was gonna say, you know, you got a couple of beer, you know. I'm not gonna.
Man, you know what sucks, man? And I don't know, like most places, like, and I'm just experiencing it now because, like, I can't even remember if I even said it here. No, yeah, I did. I just, but like I've got a gluten issue, right? Like a real problem. Like it's giving me real health issues. I gotta get a scope down my body and stuff. Like, it might not be the gluten. It might be whatever, but it's. I
see you pressing your side there. You got
yeah, like it's rock fucking hard here, man. Like it's bad. Anyways, but if I go a week without gluten, like the difference I feel is crazy, right? So it's definitely a component, if not the whole thing, right? But man, when you go to a bar, man, trying to get a bar that got a gluten-free beer is some fucking hard. It's some hard.
Well, we were talking earlier about weed drinks. What's the reason that they won't put them in the bars? Do you?
Oh, right. We got totally sidetracked on that. Because fucking the liquor corporation in this province is fucking corrupt. Goddamn gangsters is what it is. And
so there goes the NLC sponsorship.
Listen. Listen. You don't want me to talk shit about it? Haven't you changed the fucking rules? And just like, but no, it's they don't want weed and booze being consumed in the same building. And there's some bullshit about some weak ass study says weed mixed with alcohol is bad for your brain, right? So it's like
I'm looking at conform a sentence.
So apparently if you have like 2 joints with 2 beers, like that's more damaging for your brain, right? But you know what else is damaging your brain when you have 2 beers? Another fucking 8 beer, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's no limit on that.
But yeah, but you think about it. Think about the the theory, I guess, is that if you only need 2 joints and 2 beer to get a good buzz on, and you're not going to drink that other 8 beer, that's 8 less beer they're going to sell.
Exactly.
So maybe that's their psychology.
And that's a part of it
They
too,
know
man.
they
You chill out, you drink less, right? But they got
It's personal choice. If you want to have a beer, sure. If you want to take that capo and drive yourself in the head, you can do that. So it's like whatever you want to do.
you can
we're
have-
adults, man.
Yes.
Like fuck off. Put the weed drinks in the bars already.
Exactly.
You can't have a smoke and a drink at the same time. Just think about that. Unless you're at home, you can't have you got to go out. You're not allowed to bring your booze outside. You're
Yeah.
not allowed to bring your cigarettes inside. So if you're a smoker and you want to have, people like to have a beer and their smoke. That's why people are home in their sheds having their parties.
Right.
Because they can, they can, at least I know like St. Pierre.
But he's still go by the door and do it. You can't even do that.
But you got
That's
heated
what I'm saying.
decks in other places like a PI, St. Pierre. Yeah.
You go to St. Pierre. I remember St. Pierre. You could still. I remember the last few years we were in St. Pierre that you could still smoke. You could probably smoke for 6 or 7 years after they banned it here. I remember sitting down in a restaurant having a cigarette, going, "Oh my God, this is the best place in the world."
Yeah.
And there's something to it, like when they quit or ban smoking in the bars, you could still bring your beer outside and have a smoke outside with your beer. And there's something to be said for for smokers. I'm no longer a smoker, but to enjoy your smoke, enjoy your beer at the same time. But that's not that they don't want you having too much fun. The government got to shut everything down.
It's brutal, and it's like it really pisses me off, man. I get really worked up over this stuff because it's like this is just the stupid laws and stupid rules and bullshit that just pisses me off because here's the way I look at it, and maybe this is my stoner high brain talking. I don't know, right? But the way I look at it is like this is our planet, right? As humans, it's our country as Canadians, and as Newfoundlanders, this is our island. Like we own the fucking island, boys. It's our island. Like you get another person till you get like 400 something thousand. Okay, it's our island, right? So it's our island. It's our fucking life. Aliens don't come down and set the laws. They don't set the rules, and then we're like, fuck, it's the law. We can't do nothing about it. We set the law. So I don't understand why we're robbing our own selves from enjoyment on this planet and living the one life we got. Because if you look at this, has been, all this fucking has been around for billions of years before us. It's all going to exist for a billion years after us. We're here for a few years, a blink of an eye. Why are we not having as much fucking fun while we're here and enjoying it? Why are we? Yeah, right. But why do we self-restrict and make things hard on ourselves and make all these fucking hoops that we got to jump through? Like, for example, my house, you can't park. I can't park in front of my own house without getting a ticket. It's my fucking house, and if I park in front of my house, I get a ticket. If I park between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday to Friday, I get a fucking ticket.
Oh yeah,
right?
Because you're close to the university.
Because I'm close to the university, and it's just like I'm after calling up different politicians, being like, "But this got the fucking end." Like it's like
could have someone over for a podcast,
right? Right. I'm like, how do we go about changing this, right? And to change it is way more fucking trouble than it should be. And it's like, why do we do this to ourselves?
You ask one person about it, they send you to someone else. They don't have an answer.
Keep the parking ban in if you want, but at least have something where it's like, okay, maybe if you have a license plate, just register your license plate with the address, right? And if a parking ticket comes by, he scans your plate and says, "Oh yeah, that plate lives on this street, no ticket."
Sure, you can probably find that out
Do
anyway.
that then, because the bullshit is like, well, the people on the street don't want to be congested, and it's like, I live on the street and I don't give a fuck.
I'd say your registration got your address anyway, so it's probably already information.
It should be.
Yes.
And if it's not, fucking fix it. Create a job, create work for someone, give someone employment to fucking put a system in place where it can be done. Like, it's just, but they don't want to. And it's just fucking nonsense, man.
Listen, the university's not going to sell parking spots if you can park down in front of Colin Hollett's house for free. Think about that, right? They're trying to sell parking spots up there. So how much does the government runs owns the university? It's all they're all in partnership and bed together. So
Yes, back to weed drinks again. Like somebody's struggling with alcoholism, wants to go out and they don't want to consume alcohol. They wants to go out and have a laugh with their friends. Why are you restriction? That's not inclusion. That's exclusion.
Exclusion.
It's exclusion. Somebody's an addict. They don't want to drink.
Yeah.
Give them another option.
Right, because I was a bad alcoholic. I mean, Fred, Arthur, sorry, you.
I'll let you Fred too, mate. I'll let you too, Fred, like Fred.
But you know, like I had a while there a few years back, man. I was down at Shamrock every night.
I remember.
Man,
I haven't seen you in years. What
Yeah,
happened?
I was down there. Well, man, I was
Couldn't get a run home.
I was getting drunk 7 nights a week, like at least 6. And although all those nights, I was getting like legitimately blackout. 4 to 5 of those nights, like blackout. Like
I remember seeing you posted about it.
Yeah, and it was just like it got out of control. So I moved to Edmonton, and there was multi-purpose, but a big reason for that was like I can't live here and stay clean and get clean. Right, that's why a lot of rehab centers are out of province, because you got to get the fuck away. You can't, or like there is a rehab for drugs. It's in Trout River.
Yeah,
13-month wait, buddy. Most addicts can't know 13 minutes.
Right,
13 months.
I know. I know. I went to Edmonton. Yeah. And I was like, and that's how bad, you know, when you're going to Edmonton to clean up your addictions, you know it's pretty fucking bad, right?
I went to Jamaica.
Did you move to White Ave?
I went to Jamaica to quit weed.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Right? Exactly. So I exactly. And I go there and I fucking and I clean myself up and I come back and now I got my drinking under control. I can say like, this is the first bit of beer that I've bought and brought into this house, and this year I don't even think. I mean, I might have, but I don't even remember buying any booze and bringing it in the house last year. Like I just weed now, right? And it's really helped me with it, and I don't get as fucked up on weed as I do on booze.
No.
And right.
Well, I was retrained you to drink socially, so you're more aware of how much you're taking in and try to stop yourself before you get too.
Yeah, and like I'd love to be able to go down to Shamrock and have a couple weed drinks and really listen to the music, right? And fucking, but they can't sell it down there.
No.
It drives me crazy.
We're talking about getting the Cannabis Tourism Alliance on the go, so we'll chat about that later. I've already got some names on the board that we've been pushing forward. So that's
What a time in this world for me to quit marijuana.
When it becomes legal.
I know, and it's like the last few years, you know, it's the cheapest it's ever been in my life. But it's gotten to the point with me. I'm only quit now a few months, but you know, when I quit cigarettes, it's gotten to the point in me in my life where I just didn't want to have a crutch anymore. That you know, and to me, you know, it's all or nothing. You know, one's too many, 20's not enough. And so I mean, you know, it was a personal choice for me. But you know, after 30 years or over 35 years of being a chronic, I was, you know, because booze was never my, you know, I was in bars since I was 16. So booze was never really my problem, you know. I mean, every now and then I'd imbibe a little too much, but it was never. I wouldn't, you know. I could go 3 months without a drink, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas I couldn't go, you know. I barely ever go more than 2 weeks without a draw, you know.
Right.
You know, the only time we'd ever not smoke, I go to St. Pierre, and you couldn't bring it there, and you know,
you couldn't get it there.
Well, you get it, but you know, you'd have to sell your grandmother for it.
$400.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, you'd have a little tiny bit with your friends down there, but it was like, you know, I'd feel bad smoking with them down there because it was so expensive. I was like, no, you keep yours. I have lots waiting for me in the van when I get home.
Right.
And it's just, you know, and it would kind of, you know, settle me out a little bit after, you know, because I was a pretty bad, you know, not bad. I was, you know, I liked smoking weed every day for years. And,
yeah.
I just got to the point where, you know, I'm just, you know, if I can give this up, you know.
Good on you, man. Good on you.
My own choice. You
Yeah.
know, I don't see a fault in anyone else, and you know, I'd love to be able to just have one.
Yeah.
And then, but I can't.
And anybody's dealing with issues or anything, like you said about Arthur said earlier, he remembers you posted about your struggles with alcohol.
Yeah.
Like that gives me, when I was struggling at the same time,
Yeah.
I was playing the bars every night, drinking every night. After I get off the stage, hanging out in the after hours bar, waking up, doing the fucking same thing over and over again. And seeing posts like yourself made me like step back a little bit.
You're not the only one going through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
know, and it helps. It helps. It really do help.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I've had people reach out to me too and say, "Hey, man, just want to let you know, like you talking about this stuff helps." And I, you know, and it's just like that's cool. That's I'm happy to hear that. Like that's, you know, if I can help, like it's not the full. I just got into a habit of just trying to express myself as much as possible online, and then it got to a point where then that ended up getting me in hot water. So then I fucking went the other way where I was just fucking absent, and now now I'm trying to find that balance, and I'm starting to find a lot of my problems are getting like. I've after saying a lot of stuff online that's got
Since 7:30.
that's gotten me in trouble, and it's like a lot of it is nonsense. It's like you don't know the tone.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
You
Exactly.
don't and you don't know me, and that's what I was
The
like.
writ-
You know
the
what?
written
I
word,
got
not
I got to
saying.
stop writing statuses, right? And I just got to do this,
Yeah.
right? And then you can see it, you can hear it. There's context to it.
Understand the spirit in which you're saying.
The spirit I'm saying it to, and like that's got to be my lane now, because I can write out fucking novels because I've done it. I bet I could sit down and write a huge. I love doing it, right? I love doing it, and then people read it and they're reading it maybe in the tone that they last heard me speak in. Whether that was in person or in stand up or whatever, or the tone that they took the last status from, and now they think that they're applying that same tone to this one, and now I'm having to explain myself for shit that I shouldn't have to because I didn't mean it like that. So now I'm trying to find this balance
That's why
of this, right?
text. Oh, go ahead.
I think you're just going to say the texts and stuff, like people, you write a text to someone, you don't get that same, feeling of how the spirit in which you're saying it. So, it sounds a certain way in the text. And, the written word.
Text is a devil.
It can be, because people don't understand exactly how you're, like the tone of what you're saying.
I heard a rule
Yeah.
that said text should be used for setting dates and making appointments, and then you should talk about the stuff that you got to talk about when you make that date, set that appointment, whether it be over FaceTime, over the phone, or at a meeting in person. But being not able to hear somebody, so if you just set your date and make your appointment, then you can have a meaningful conversation about the thing and understand, like, is he mad when he's saying wow, or is he happy?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You can't tell.
You don't get that.
That's why I use smiley faces all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The emoji expert, Jordan
Yeah.
Harnum.
Yeah.
Use smiley face. If I'm mad, I'll use an angry face.
Yeah. Genius shit, really.
Yeah.
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 So you're playing at the Shamrock tonight. Now, are you playing as well, or is it just Arthur tonight?
No, at Bob's by night. Got a songwriter circle tomorrow at Aaron's with old Billy Bob, my partner Joelle Sunshine, and Claire Porter.
Okay, wicked. Yeah, I know
Yep.
Claire.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
is she
looking forward-
playing?
Yeah, we're doing the songwriter circle. We're doing a round.
Oh, nice. I
Yeah.
haven't heard her play before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She was working with Robert Kelly down there. Some of her stuff is really, really nice. She's great.
I can see that.
Yeah, she's really.
She's
really
she's free spirit.
yes.
Yeah.
Nice
So I
person.
can, yeah, she is. Yeah, I can see that. What time is it now? Because you got to be down there. What you say, 9:30?
Yeah.
Well, it's 22 now. I know you brought your instruments.
Yeah.
What was that song that you were playing there? The very first one that you whipped out. I actually took a little snap of it and put up in my story.
Oh, welcome to the Rock.
Could be. Yeah. Do you feel comfortable? Like, I know you say that's a new one. Like, do you feel comfortable playing
God,
that one? Or
I'm used to singing it with Fred and singing it with the boys because Fred has a part in it. I got to remember Fred's part, but I'll do it.
yeah,
I don't
the
care.
the Bodie, when
I'll
you
strum along with
that
it.
first one that you were
It's like welcome to the Rock or welcome to Newfoundland.
yeah.
What's Fred's part? Welcome to the wildest weather that you've ever heard of. Okay, I think it's true. So we recorded this in 2021 for Come From Away.
Yeah.
They did a compilation album of songs from the show.
Yeah.
And they invited a number of Newfoundland artists, ourselves, Shani Gannock, Alan Dial, and a whole bunch of people. And so we just did songs from the show. And it was funny because I started learning this one, and I'm like, I'm singing back some of the words that I've written with the Navigators.
Yeah.
And then when I'm going through, I was kind of corresponding with David Hine, and he wrote me. He's like, by the way, we were listening to the Navigators when we wrote this. I'm like, no kidding, because it was like, some of the expressions, some of the things, some of the ideas in this were my own. And
Wow.
I'm not saying that I got them from other places myself, but it was kind of come full circle. So.
So this song is in the Come From Away musical.
Yeah, no, it's in it. Yeah, it's the beginning. It's the kind of the opening song in the show.
Yeah.
But it's on a record they did called Covers From Away. So it's on Spotify, Apple Tunes, and all that. It's a song, an album that they dedicated just to the show. And like last year, they put out when they put it out and released it, they put out the actual show on Apple TV. You can actually watch the whole Come From Away on that, and it goes for the whole Broadway production. But then at the very end of it, when it all ends, they run the credits, and the first thing you hear is me singing this.
Re-
So we made it. They actually used our version in the.
Oh, that's so awesome, man.
It was really cool.
So you got your little piece and all that.
Yeah. So what happened was that we were doing this new record. This is a new record that we've been working on for 6 years because we had it half done and it all got we had a computer crash a number of years ago and lost it all. Had to do it again. So we kind of went back and saw some of the stuff we did over the last few years, and this is one of the songs that I was like, it works really good on the record.
Yeah.
And so I went back to the Come From Away crowd, to David Hine and Irene Sankoff, and said, can we use our song or your song? Can we use our version of your song?
Yeah.
And so we worked out a deal with the record company, with Concord Music, and they said, yeah, here, we license it. We had to re-license it.
Oh, that's beauty.
So it's on the record,
Yeah.
So it's pretty.
I love
cool.
it, man.
Yeah, we're gonna open our tour with it. I shouldn't tell you that, but yeah,
Yeah. So we'll say that. No, fuck it, man. Talk. So right. So just before you start, well, and we'll mention it again after.
Yeah.
But you are heading on a tour next week, right?
We start our first leg next Wednesday, the 15th of March, in Carbonear at the Sheila Nagira Theatre.
That's one of the few theaters that I have, and Jordan, and you're opening up.
Yeah, and a funny story. When I released my album back in 2018, I just did it down the road at Stone Jug's sold out show. So
Stone Jug's beauty.
yeah, so I'm really looking forward to just getting it kicked off just down the road from there. So,
Yeah, that's wicked. So when you're opening, are you doing solos with your band?
I'll be doing solo.
Solo.
Yep.
And with that's fucking awesome. That's great.
Oh, we're gonna
What-
invite Jordan up to finish the show with us too.
Oh, nice, wicked.
He'll have a good band.
So it starts the 15th of March, and it's going. You're how many spots in Newfoundland?
Well, we're gonna do the 15th to the 19th, kind of like locally. The 15th, like in Carbonear, and then Bonavista, Gander, Marystown, your neck of the woods, and then finish up the first leg in Ferry, and then myself and Fred will go up and do a few shows in Ontario the week after. And then we took a little break because it was Easter and stuff. So then we started all up again on the 13th of April, and that will go right on through then till the 6th of May.
And all around what, Newfoundland or Canada
So
or
just Newfoundland, Labrador. So all the big theaters, and then we'll do some of those places you say that get left out. Like we are going to go to Snetney.
yeah,
And we're going to go to Beaver.
Yeah.
We're going to go down to Harbour Breton.
yeah.
A couple of shows where we're working on Dildo, and then we're going to Labrador. We'll do Lab City and Goose Bay, and lots of little spots.
Man,
all the main
I
ones.
love hearing that. Like I'm big on that.
Yeah.
I'm big on. I'm really big on servicing the island.
Yeah.
Like hit everything, man. Like you know what I mean? Not just St. John's, Gander, Cornerbrook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like fucking hit the island, man. Like we're Newfoundlanders. We're performing for Newfoundlanders. Go and fucking perform for Newfoundlanders. And you find most of the time, if you go to them, they will come out if they like you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
And it's just like it's great. And is there a name on this tour, or is it just
Yeah, it's named after the album. So the album's called Babel's Cove.
okay?
And you'll relate to this. So I'm from Babel's.
Yeah.
As you know, Fred is from Bull's Cove.
Yeah.
So we put them together, and you got Babel's Cove. So it's the
Ah.
Babel's Cove. So either way, there's lots of bull.
Yeah. Lots of bay.
Yeah, and lots of bay. And so it's we're kind of calling it the Babel's Cove tour.
I like it.
After the album. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
pretty
Okay,
nice.
babe. Okay, gotcha. Wicked. Oh yeah, fire off that one there, man. I'd
right, so,
love to hear it because I was loving what I was hearing right beforehand. I was getting right into it.
So I'll just put this back here. Like.
Yeah.
Oh, welcome to the townies and the come from a ways. Welcome to the locals who have always said this day. My father scrapped his ship into this rock. Come heaven or hell, it matter much because here I'm stuck. Welcome to the rock. Welcome to Newfoundland. It's farther to Manhattan than it is to Wireland. Welcome to the closest place you get from Disneyland. This is Newfound. I'm an islander. I am an islander. I'm an islander. I am an islander. I'm an islander. I am an islander. I'm an islander. I am. Welcome to the land where it's been that you ever heard of her. Everything is mousy, but it's never nice above. Or as mouthy, or as misty, or as muddy, or as scad. And when it's finally telling it's something sitting bad. Welcome to the rock. Welcome to Newfoundland. The drunkest fellas in the room are playing in the band. Welcome to the farthest place you'll get from Disneyland. Fish and chips and shipwrecks. This is Newfoundland. I'm an islander. I am an islander. I'm an islander. I am an islander. I'm an islander. I am an islander. I'm an islander. I am. Welcome to the land where the winters tried to kill us, and we said we will not be killed. Welcome to the land where we lost our loved ones, and we said we will not lost our love, and we said, we will still go. Welcome to the land where the winds tried to blow, and we said no. In the winter, from the water through the wind. If a stranger ends up at our door, we welcome them in. We welcome them in. I am an islander. Welcome to the cotton, to the trees, and to the fog, and to the fairies, and the berries, and the failing fishery, to the kitchen part and wonder part in our heart. You never know, we need a little bit of heaven where we started, to the down and out of town on quads. Thank God we are the poorest, but the richest were. To the St. John's girl with the sails unfurled, to the friends at the end of the world, we say welcome to the rock.
Yes, sir. Fuck, man, that makes me want to fucking go out right now. Oh, man, that's such a banger. That's a banger. That's what I love about Navigators, man. Like, I've had this conversation with many friends, and me and Mike talk about it all the time, too. And it's just like, what I love about the Navigators so much and yourself is, like, you got that fucking sweet spot, man. That perfect balance of Newfie / Irish, call it whatever you want to call it, and piss and vinegar is what I calls it. Bit of rock. You got a bit of piss and vinegar. You got a bit of sauce. You got a bit of fucking, like, it's just nice, and it's like, and it's no disrespect to anyone else. It's just praise for you. But it's like, I very much love that, and it's like it's Dropkick Murphy-esque in the fact that it's got that bit of a fucking edge and a bit of piss and vinegar, a bit of ranting and roaring, a bit of hurrah. You know what I mean? And it's like Newfoundlanders can get sometimes too diddly-dee. You know what I mean? And too whatever. Like, you know, it's listen, Great Foggy Day is a great song, right? You know what I mean? But it's like, I can only hear Great Foggy Day so many times, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, when I hear Great Foggy Day, I'm like, oh, that was nice. I don't want to hear it again. I hear that. I've put that in my ear now. I can play it in there 20 times before the day is over. You know what I mean? Like, it's got that bit of adrenaline to it, bit of edge, yeah. And that's what you guys do so well. And you've really carved out your own lane in that. And it's fucking refreshing. And so glad there's someone here to service that.
Well, there's no bigger compliment that I've ever gotten with the band than someone that comes to me and says, you know, I don't really like Irish music or trad music that much, but I love you guys.
Yes.
I'm like,
yeah,
thank you, because, you know, for me, you know, part of what I was into as a kid, I was into heavy metal, I was into rock and roll, I was into you know, really aggressive kind of music, and then, you know, my brother started playing Irish music. I was like, okay, well, you know, that's good. That could pay the bills.
Yeah.
And then, you know, just kind of, you know, leveled. And then I started playing with Fred, who had this, you know, voice that could, you know, Fred could sing the phone book, and you'd make, you know, you want to call everybody.
Right.
So it's just kind of combining that edgy rockness with, you know, I mean, funny because we were in Cornerbrook last week or 2 weeks ago doing a show, and this guy kind of got mad and been writing me for 5 years saying, man, throw away that Fender guitar, man. Get rid of that black Fender. And I wrote him, like, well, what's, you know, oh, you guys are not, you know, I'm like, we've had an electric guitar in the show since the very first day.
Yeah.
You know, we've had that, you know, we've done 4,000 shows, and, you know, we've had that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I said, I think I know what your problem is that I was playing this guitar as a Gibson 333 guitar for years, and if you look at it, it looks like an acoustic. And, you know, I cracked it off at a show playing for Danny Williams one time. And so I couldn't use it anymore. So I started playing this Fender Telecaster, and, you know, you see this electric guitar now, and it's like, you know, visually it doesn't, you know, suit what, you know, this guy gets really pure. And anyway, I kind of explained to him, he kind of wrote me back, so yeah, now I understand it. Because, you know, you listen to all our recordings, you know, you listen to that recording, you know, so that's all electric. I don't think we played acoustic on it, you know.
And that show was killer, too. It was like, energy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was.
Yeah. Well, that's why you guys are such a perfect fit for Shamrock too, right? You like that's your home, really, and that's why Shamrock essentially became my home. Like I said, I was down there, man. Every night you see me, I was down there all the fucking time, and it was largely because of yourself and Fred is why I was there, and it's largely why everyone's there. And like I'm sure the fucking bar knows that, and if they don't know it, they better fucking know it.
No, They know that one of our key sponsors is Shamrock City.
Yeah,
and
of
Jungle
course.
Gym,
I know,
so
and I love Sham too. And
They
they
take good care of us, yeah.
they tour us on. They always sponsor us every year through Jungle Gyms and stuff on the road and stuff. Great guys, right? I just say that to make sure you get your props. You know.
We're there for 15 years. You know, we're there from day one.
I know,
and,
man.
And Barry Walsh, the owner of he's owner of Jungle Gyms and Shamrock. He's a musician number one.
Yeah.
And Barry's been a friend of mine over 30 years. I've been friends with Barry longer than I've known Fred.
Yeah.
You know, or at least the same at the beginning of the same
Barry's
time.
a beauty.
And he is. I mean, I remember having a loan of a guitar. He had this beautiful Santa Fe guitar that he loaned me for about 2 years when I was, playing when I was just starting out kind of thing. And he was the kind of fella, he's a great businessman. He gives you the shirt off his back. So I got nothing, nothing but a fantastic relationship with them. 15 years, professionally 15 years, but 30 as a friend. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love to hear that too. Yeah, it's so good to hear. Like someone that just gets it. So isn't it nice, Boz? This is something that we can all fucking geek out on right now together. Isn't it nice when you come across a bar owner or a venue owner that gives a shit? Yeah. Isn't that so nice?
When you get a check with extra money on it, which happened to me recently,
yeah.
I'm like,
oh man,
that's nice.
Yeah.
I want to play that bar and all that.
Yeah, right. Even just little things like the amount of times you go back into a green room places and there's not a fucking as much as a glass of water there for you.
No.
You know what I mean? And then you get to some spot and they got a jug of water already poured up for you before you get there. And maybe they drop $20 on a fucking veggie tray or fruit tray. It's not like it's nothing to do it, and it means the world to us. Like we come in, we see a veggie tray. I don't know about you guys, but like if we see if we're like a meat and cheese tray or a veggie tray or something, it's probably $25. Instantly feel like rock stars. Right?
I mean, it becomes if you're touring, that part of your rider is so important because you only got so much time. I mean, we've realized over the years, you only got so much time between a sound check and your show.
Yeah.
And you're in the middle of some town, in the middle of nowhere. You got to go fend for yourself to get supper, for example.
This time of year is nothing open in Twillingate, so like a lot of towns are like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So what do you do, right? So we put it in the contract now with to have food, ready, so we don't have to go line up at the local takeout. Right after sound check, because we got to be back to play at 9 o'clock when we finish sound check at 6. When you got 3 hours to go get a shower, get ready, and get back and get it seems like it's a lot of time, but it's not when you got to.
It's not.
And if you're
go some fast on the road, man.
And if you're that event for the day for the night, everybody and their dog wants to go get their supper too at the same time. So we're and we're not going to try to at that point look for special treatment. But this year in particular, we really put our foot down with a lot of venues and said, look. We have it in the contract. We want food there for certain places because, you need it. I mean, you got a few
6
drinks
to
to
7
take.
hour drives, man.
Yeah, you got to take. Exactly. You got to take a few things with you. Then when you go,
yeah,
it's the ones when you play in the big city. You're playing your hometown, and when we show up, and there's a sandwich tray, there's all this stuff. It's too much at some points where you're leaving the gig. Oh God, I don't want to leave it there, so I got to go get a bag now and take all that stuff because they bought it for us. But it's finding a balance. But it means a lot when it's
it does
there,
because even if you show up like say 2 hours before. Okay, so you do a quick mic check, which don't take too long. Might only take 5 or 10 minutes to get that done. But now okay, so you're about 2 hours or less, and it's like. It sucks because it's like it feels like too much time to suck and sit around, but it's also not enough time to fucking find a spot, go get it, get served, get your order put in, get the food, get it paid, and then get back, right? Because you do it, and it's just like you feel like you get a rush back, and then you're back, and you're only
bloated. Then trying to do your thing, and you're too full. I mean, I don't know what's
right,
comedy,
exactly.
But singing, it's like it's a nightmare.
Right, and you show up, and it's you're in the venue, and you're on in 4 minutes, and it's just like you're up. And it's just like, jeez, you don't get enough time to stop and think, prepare, settle your mind down, maybe take a nap. I love having a nap. Like I like having a nap. Like if I'm performing at say 8 o'clock, I like taking a nap sometime, like say like between 5 and 6, just for an hour.
That's Freddie Jorgens. That must be a Bjorn Peninsula. Freddie's every afternoon. I know him. Freddie goes for that little afternoon siesta and then gets that little burst of energy.
Maybe 4 o'clock. Yeah, I always take a late afternoon nap. I'll call it, and could be an hour, could be 2, and then I get up and I don't want to get up. But by the time I hit that stage, now I'm awake and I'm full of fucking energy and I'm ready to give it my all. And I'm sure Freddie feels the same way. And it's important, right?
The other mistake that people make with us with bands touring is to let's say your show is 8 o'clock, and they want you to eat and they come out and they got food free at 7, and like, well, this is no good now because if I eat now, I can't sing now on a full stomach. I can't do it right. It's just
know.
you can't. So then we'll have it for after. It's like okay, we're doing our sound check 4, have a meal for 4:30. We're only going to take a half hour. You got time to digest, the time to not to get that bloated feeling, and you can enjoy your show. So
Yeah.
we've learned that to put that in the contract.
Put it in the contract.
Put it in your rider.
Yeah.
And for some things you're
And that's smart, and you should do that. I guess my point to it is that it's a fucking shame that it's not a given, and it's some fucking nice when you don't ask for it. And the thing is there,
they know.
They just get it because they give a fuck.
Yeah.
Right? They just care.
They have experience too.
Yeah.
You're usually someone that a group that had experience with this before. And it's like you said, it's only $20 bill. But it makes a huge amount on your big expensive show. It's a minor amount, but it's it means a lot. It goes a long way. Yeah.
It does matter. What time is it there now? It is
Time for Jordan to do a song. Jordan.
okay. Yep. And that's what I was gonna say. So I guess we'll do one more, and probably end it off with that. So, Bay Bulls Cove it's called Bay Bulls Cove Tour, or
Bay Bulls Cove Tour.
yeah, Bay Bulls Cove Tour. And where can people find out all the information on this?
We have on our Facebook group too, but we have the Navigators.com,
Yep.
www.thenavigators.com. So we're posting dates on that, and you can buy the tickets. Links to the tickets through that.
Yep.
And then Jordan has Jordan Harnum Music has lots of Facebook posts there, and you're on the old Instagram, the Twitter, but we have a pretty big following on Facebook. So we have the Navigators ! As a page, and we have a group and a page. I don't know. It's all confusing. When I get on Facebook, I got like 15 things I got to look at.
I know that's some bad.
It's not organized.
Because you didn't know 15 years ago how much it was going to mean now, and you wish you'd done it right then. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm at the point personally on my personal Facebook. I'm going in and I got to delete people because I'm up to 5,000 people.
I know. Same.
And I'm like, geez, who do I delete next? If I don't like the look of this person, I'm not. But it's a point where I've started my own personal Arthur O'Brien entertainer page because I have thousands of people now waiting to be added, and I'm more discerning when it comes to adding people now because I've been hacked now recently, and I'm just I'm trying to be really careful about who I'm adding because it is I still have a personal page that I'm using as kind of a band tool, but the band page has 6,000 or 7,000 people on it, so it's but I'd still get much bigger response off my personal page, so I'm just trying to find that balance. Like
I know.
Said,
Yeah, it's too bad how tricky it is, and also and that's what I hope. I'm hope that I'll get this out there, and you guys can take it and put up on your socials, and I hope this here tonight can help give any type of just another set of eyes, just another recognition, just that people know that this is happening. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You're doing that route too, so that helps, right? You guys do that with the best comedy.
Oh,
tour,
absolutely,
so
Yeah.
it really helps.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
And if anything, it's nice to actually sit down and have a good chat with you.
Isn't it
this
nice?
way, it's nice, I mean,
Yeah.
we met each other lots of times downtown and at the gym recently in
Yeah.
the last few months. But it's nice to have this kind of very relaxing. Even though we got a few cameras on and stuff, it's still a very relaxed. I haven't felt like I've been on camera all day.
Well, that's the point, and the whole point of a podcast, and this is why this has been good, and maybe it's because we're all performers, so it's been a bit more natural for the three of us.
Yeah.
But the whole point of a podcast is pretend the cameras and the mics don't exist, as far as I'm concerned. And what I love at podcasts is when you feel like Rogan's podcast obviously is huge. I've been inspired by that. It's just when you feel like you're a fly on the wall on a conversation. Yeah. Holy fuck! It's just capturing a genuine conversation. That's what a good podcast to me is, right?
We forgot to tell the story about how I got my nickname. I mean, we came in when I first arrived here. We were talking about so my friend Chris Hearn is celebrating his 50th birthday here today, and I got that one nickname. A bunch of people call me Alpha. And you said, "Oh, save that for when we're talking." So I'm gonna tell the story here now of when because I had 3 calls on my youngest son this week from the school. He's been in a little bit of hot water. He's a charming, beautiful little man, but he's had a little bit of trouble lately. So, and I'm like, I reaped what I sow, because I was in trouble as a kid. I got in trouble in kindergarten. I got, in 1979, I got sent home for 3 days in kindergarten. And one of my friends, Chris Hearn, his 50th birthday is today. He went home to his grandfather, and his grandfather said, "Chris, what happened at school today?" He said, I got offended. He's like, "What? I got offended." It was Arthur got suspended. And I thought it was I thought it was kind of like a family joke, me getting suspended in kindergarten. Poor old sister Eleanor.
Yeah.
But I went, a few years ago when my dad was still alive, I went to Dad. I said, "Dad, was it true? Did I really get suspended?" He said, "Yes, boy, you did." He said, "Boy, I had to go down and see the nun and everything." He said, "I went down to the rectory, down to the church, and your mother couldn't go. I had to go, and I sat in and waited for her to come out, and she came out, and she sat right next to me. And this little tiny woman, she sat next to me, and she put her hands down in her face, started to bawl. She said, I don't know what to do with him. I don't know what to do with him anymore." Dad said, "He's still 4. So whatever trouble my James is in, I'm only getting back what I'm. And from Alpha to Chris, happy birthday.
Yeah. Oh, wicked. I guess we'll fire up another jam. Jordan, play us whatever you want to play, man.
I wrote this one with Jeff Pittman. You know Jeff?
I do know Jeff Pittman.
Yeah, so...
Charismatic beauty.
Such a lovely human.
Yeah.
We both worked for Adventure Canada, so when I got home from my first 2 cruises, we did Greenland, we did Northwest Passage, we came back, we landed, and we did all Labrador, and we landed in St. John's, actually, which was like, coming in through the Narrows, standing up, was beautiful. But when I got home, I got thinking about how my great-grandfather used to be up there working on Labrador, and he was there under a lot of different circumstances to me, He was up there working fishing, and so I had a vision of somebody going up there and whatnot. And then I heard a story about if you died up there, they had to salt you into the bottom of the ship to get you home. There's no other way to preserve your body because there's no communication, no way. So they put you in the ship, salt you in, and that's how they get you home.
Newfoundland mummification.
Yeah. True story.
Yes, I never knew that. That's pretty cool.
Oh, shit, I didn't know it either, man.
Like the
That's
fish,
wicked.
man. They salt you up like fish.
You know what I always love that too? I always love, and that's why I miss, this is shocking. Is it hand or hand? Derek. Jesus. Derek, right? Got his face up on the wall there. Then Shamrock passed away a few years ago.
Oh, Derek Harrington.
Harrington, yeah. I knew it went hand or hand. But I knew it was the age. I miss him, man. What I loved about him more than anything was I used to love in between the songs. He'd always do what you just did and what you did beforehand with the song. With he'd always explain the song before he sang it. He was so good at explaining the song. And by the time he was done, you'd be like, I can't fucking wait to hear what this sounds like now, right? And then he'd do it, and his eyes used to be closed, didn't he? When he was singing all the time, his eyes would be closed, and you could tell it was just channeling the music and I'm like, oh fuck, and I thank the both of you for doing that, for setting up your songs and saying it, because I'm such a fan of doing that. Just be like, yeah, I'll whip this one for you. And I mean, that's fine, but I love knowing a little something to the song, right? The story.
That insight makes you, I've listened. You're going to do on the Labradors.
Yeah.
So I've listened to that song now, last month, and I never got that part.
Right, but now it's going to hit you harder.
Yeah, absolutely, and we listen, understand, what means more now.
Yes, exactly. It's way better, man.
And it's a true story. Like all the, Jim Payne was lucky enough to put it on his website, which is cool. Jim's a legend.
Yeah.
We were lucky enough for him to put that there. And, I'm just very grateful to be able to sing about my family and, pass that bit of history on to everybody.
We're going to Labrador. We don't intend to die there or come back salted. we might come back pickled, but we won't come back salted.
Yeah. Wicked.
All right, I'm going.
Whenever you're ready.
My mother's grandfather was a seafaring hand. He ran aboard from Trinity Bay, northeast Newfoundland. Up the coast of Labrador in the summer of the year. But after each spring thaw, when the sea ice would break clear, he'd pass along the stories, one truth I know he told. Was the feelings of the waves aloft and way down in the hole, where she rocks and she rolls all the way on the Labrador, where she rocks and she rolls all the way on the Labrador. Then my father's generation and my grandfather as well, he fished upon the sea in the common in the swell. From Cartwright to Black Tickle and further north to Nain, through the Torngat's George River, then back home again. I've heard stories of men who died body salted on the ship. Wherever their souls landed, they still made one last trip. Where she rocks and she rolls all the way on the Labrador, where she rocks and she rolls all the way on the Labrador. Like that cold Labrador current runs down from the Arctic Sea, my family tradition has been passed on to me. Oh, I'm playing and I'm singing, seeing sights of fairy tales. I see the caribou and polar bears, feel the misty gales. Well, here I am surrounded by folks from near and far, beneath the aurora borealis, guided by the great North Star. All hands are drawn to witness these wonders of the earth, and I'll live the dream I dreamt of without sleeping in my berth. Where she rocks and she rolls all the way on the Labrador, where she rocks and she rolls all the way on the Labrador. One more time. Well, she rocks and she rolls all the way on the Labrador. Wrote that with Jeff Pittman.
Yeah.
Love you, Jeff.
That's beauty,
the likes
boy.
of Jeff Pittman.
That's wicked, man. That is awesome. It's great.
Thanks.
I love it, man. So it starts next weekend in Carbonear. What date was it?
Starts on the 15th, the next Wednesday in Carbonear. Yeah.
Wednesday. That's what I thought it was a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And how many dates total in between Newfoundland and Ontario?
29, I think.
29. That's a great number, man.
Yeah.
That's great, man. Yeah. Once you're getting
29?
I think it's 29.
Oh,
Labrador,
that's
yeah.
yeah, like once you start cracking like 20, 25 like that, like that then it comes like a real nice, like proper nice tour. You know, you get in a real good groove by the end of that tour too. You know what I mean? Like, I'm speaking from comedy,
Yeah.
right? I know from comedy, it's like, man, when we do a tour, like we started out our tour in 2018, it was 27 shows,
Yeah.
and fuck, man, by the end of the tour, we're coming up in year 5 now. And we're trying to have 50
Yeah.
for 50
Wow.
shows for 5 years, right? And so last year we did 45, so we're looking to add 5 more and across Canada.
And continued success to you, Colin.
Yeah,
You're
thanks,
working
man. I
hard and
appreciate
you're
that.
working it well, man, and you're
Yeah.
you're all doing us very proud, man.
Yeah,
So,
oh, thanks, man. And I appreciate that. As
Love your honesty.
it's
I
not-
really love your honesty. That's really good, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's not even about doing anyone proud. It's about just trying to give. It's about trying to make people who bought the ticket it was worth their time
Yeah.
to come out and for those couple of hours they had a laugh and they weren't thinking about anything else. All they were thinking about was that fucking funny thing that me, Mike, and Brian set up on stage, and that's all it is about for me. So that hearing that, like doing you guys proud or whatever, like that's an honor. That's a blessing. It's a bonus, and it's great to hear. But yeah, it's like I know, but at the end of the tour, like man, oh man, it's one thing we've always fought with is like because we start the tour in Newfoundland and we ended out west, and we've always thought, man, if there was any way we could start at west and end it in Newfoundland, but just because we're so much sharper at the end of the tour because you're in such a groove, you know what I mean? And but that's awesome, man. I look forward to that. What dates in Ontario are you doing?
We're doing. We're in Cookstown on the in Brampton on the 23rd.
That's where I was born.
You're born in Brampton.
I was born in Brampton.
Oh, nice.
I was only a few months old when parents moved back.
Yeah.
But I was born there. Yeah.
So we're doing Brampton the 23rd with Andrew Bolus, who used to play bass with us, and this guy Luke Cox from over in Cox Cove.
Yeah.
And then we go to Cookstown on the 24th, and then we're doing a fundraiser in Trenton on the 25th for Wounded Warriors. So
nice.
These were things that were booked before. Before we planned the tour.
Yeah, we made part of the tour.
But yeah, we made a part of the tour.
Fuck
just kind of, we got a little following in Cookstown and that area. So we may as well. We're gonna have the records or we're gonna have the shirts there. May as well just we're gonna do the song. So may as well,
Any chance of adding dates as you go? Or?
Yeah. Like of the 29, some of them are. I say there's 29, but they're not all on the list here because we haven't. We haven't put them all there because we're not going to just advertise dates that we haven't. But
of course,
there's lots of holes because we started on the 15th of March, but right now it's up till the 6th of May, so we have a big window there that we can add a few things here or there. And
so if there's anybody listening that would, for whatever reason, maybe they got a place on a town council that they're in, or maybe they own a nice venue that they'd like to have shows. If they want to add a date to the tour, they can just go to your website. They can see the dates that you got there, and then they can reach out to you on social media or through your website or whatever.
Yeah, they can fly us right to Hawaii.
Yeah.
That's funny you say that because that's one of the things I say in the show when I wrote "Pulling Oil from the Sand."
I love that song, man.
So we wrote it, and that was 10 years ago now. And
beautiful song.
And I added a town in Fort Saskatchewan. You probably know Fort Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
So I added Fort Saskatchewan into the, just to kind of make a good rhyme.
Yeah.
6 months later, we get a gig in Fort Saskatchewan, first gig ever.
Yeah, man.
So my next 6 songs I wrote were all about Hawaii. You gotta have it's all hard to rhyme Honolulu and Waikiki.
Yeah, that's wicked, man. Well, man, I wish the both of you the most success on this tour. I'm excited you guys are doing this tour, and I think, I think people should be keeping an eye for. I think anyone that knows that you guys are coming to their town and don't have a real reason to not go, and don't go, I think they're doing themselves a big disservice. And I think they're full of nonsense. And
empty beer bottles in your shade and buy a couple tickets.
No, man, you be fucking. It's foolish, man. You're just fool. You're foolish. You're fucking foolish.
How could you find something better than Jordan Harnum and the Navigators on that night? I know that.
Yes, man. Like fuck off. And get out and purchase tickets, support your own, and get out and get some real good homegrown music. You're foolish not to do it. I mean that. I put the stamp on that.
And anybody who knows us, reach out. We'll be glad to help you guys find tickets or
get your ride to the show. We're like like an election time. We'll get you to people get you the pony, but we'll get you the gig.
Yeah,
we want to hear from every last one of you.
Like it.
No, it'd be nice to hear from people. Absolutely.
All right, boys. Well,
thank you.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Do it again. We'll do it again.
Yep, for sure.
And I'll work on getting Fred in here. Fred have fun with this, so we'll send. I'll make sure he sees it. Fred's the kind of guy where, he hates to do stuff like this, but then when he does it, he's like, "Shit, man,